Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Cobalt Wins League Division 1 playoffs. The two teams facing off today are Polymorphed and Reef Tsunami, each topping their groups respectively in the regular season. Will Reef Tsunami reclaim their glory with a consecutive CWL Division 1 trophy, or will Polymorphed remain nearly lostless, only dropping one game this entire season so far, including the playoffs? With this match of the week, we're poised for an absolute banger series. I'm joined once again by Wolf as my co-caster. Wolf, how are we feeling today?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Looking forward to this series. We've got the two heavy hitters of the league coming in, hopefully full throttle. This should be a banger.
Yeah, it definitely should be. I'm super excited to see these two teams end up facing off. I mean, this is what we've been waiting for the entire playoffs, this entire time that we've been watching every single team progress in the playoffs. UWE making it all the way through the lower bracket so far, but Polymorphed and Reef facing off finally. We've been waiting so long for it to get to this point. I mean, this is literally what the entire playoffs bracket has amounted towards. This is, like you were saying earlier, this is the upper bracket finals. This is it for the upper bracket, and the loser of this series ends up playing UWE, dropping down to the lower bracket and having one more chance to make it to the finals.
Yeah, free pass to the finals is always a good thing. Falling down to the lower bracket, it does give you the chance to play one more series, maybe kind of feel things out one last time before reaching finals. But it's definitely advantageous for a team to win this series.
And when we're talking about just how these two teams have been so far, their track records in this regular season, I mean, Polymorphed 9-1 in the regular season, Reef Tsunami 10-2, nearly the same. They just dropped one extra game and played one extra series in the regular season, so also doing extremely well and nearly lossless as well. So Reef Tsunami and Polymorphed, two very esteemed teams. Reef Tsunami winning the CWL Season 4 Division 1 finals last season, so looking to reclaim their trophy like I said earlier. Polymorphed playing extremely well, like I said, nearly lossless, and that includes every playoff series that they played so far. We're about to get into draft. I literally cannot wait to see these two teams face.
Yeah, it should definitely be interesting, and drafts will be equally as much so. I definitely think that these two teams were the ones we were expecting to get to the upper bracket side. These two were the most dominant in the regular season, but I see as we'll get into draft now, hopefully we'll get some good bans.
Yeah, and I can definitely see a couple of bans already on the horizon, right? We have Jinx, we have Xayah, these super strong ADCs in the meta right now. We have stuff as well that's just a little bit more comfort. We have stuff like the GP for Simply Magic in the top side, maybe the Aatrox as well, but Lulu looks like it's going to be the first ban for Polymorphed.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I want to look more to the AD carry kind of picks as we see Viego get banned. Will we see the Jinx come out? Will we see Xayah? Maybe we might even see Zeri, not really popular in Division 1 as it's kind of unexpected. Zeri's still an okay champ to pick as we see the Yuumi get banned. Kind of interesting to see what gets picked in the ADC role this game.
Maybe not so good of a champion when both of her favorite supports are banned, Yuumi and Lulu. Maybe not going to be seeing a Zeri here. 3 support bans for the side of Polymorphed. I think they might have a target on one of the Reef Tsunami's players' backs.
Yeah, and 3 jungle bans in return. It's definitely focuses on either side. It's to be the Milo getting picked out. Obviously, this champ from big people in the community, as we see Jinx on the other side. Milo is kind of a strong champ, as we see Sejuani getting hovered. Oh, Kha'Zix a response? Ooh, Zac! Oh, that's definitely interesting. Sorry, let me just go on a tangent here. Zac coming out is an interesting pick. He's not really a go-to A-tier jungler right now, but a lot of people, especially in EU West and Nordics, a lot of people like the Zac. They like to lean towards it. It's a great comfort pick. I think it could definitely pop off this game.
And Akaspun does end up grabbing one of his support picks that he likes to play. I mean, Thresh is so strong in the meta right now. It's very interesting to me that the first 3 support bans didn't include Thresh, especially considering that it's one of his comforts. Maybe it was what Polymorph was looking for. They wanted him to get onto that Thresh, and we'll have to find out if they just have what they would consider an answer for it.
Yeah, definitely. I do kind of think, though, with the Thresh, you're still not... Ooh, yes, I do like that. The Gwen is definitely much more of a carry kind of pick. Much more kind of dealing damage. Feels more of a threat throughout the game compared to the Sejuani, who's a threat early, and the Jinx, who's a threat at the end.
And we've zoomed through this draft. The draft is already over. I mean, I swear I blinked and it just ended. They must have really prepped for this game. I mean, the coaches and the players just thinking of every possibility. And we already have two full-fledged drafts on our screen. We have Vex versus Akali mid. We have Aatrox versus Gwen in the top side. We have Sejuani Zac in the jungle. And then we have Jinx Thresh versus Lucian Milio. I mean, this is literally a full draft on our screens already. It's been, I swear to God, I swear to heck, only 1 minute at least. I mean, this is just insane.
Yeah, definitely. I do like both these drafts. I'm actually not too much leaning more towards one or the other. They've both got strong picks. I like the Akali Aatrox, that hard kind of press engage style. On the other side, you've got something kind of a more backside, front to back kind of comp. Gwen and Sejuani going in, the fresh kind of you looking to kite for the Jinx, and the Vex and Jinx at the back line. I think both these comps are very interesting and can deal a lot of damage.
And when we're talking about comfort, I think that both teams got a little bit of what they were looking for, right? Reef Tsunami loves to have Akaspun on that Thresh in the bot lane. They love the Jinx as well, just one of those hyper carries that does really well with Thresh. Is just really thankful to have that Thresh Lantern on their side. On the opposite side of the draft, we also have the Aatrox, which is another comfort pick for Polymorphed. So both teams getting a little bit of their comfort into this draft, despite all the bans and just all the targeted bans as well. So definitely interesting to see where the focuses were in the bans this game, and we'll have to see how that ends up playing out on the Rift.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting to see the Lucian Milo. Obviously, a lot of people are used to seeing the Lucian Nami. Milo kind of does what Nami does, but better with the cleanse style and the heals. It'll be definitely interesting to see how it goes into a kind of fullback farm bot lane, like the Jinx and Fresh. Oh, these comps are definitely interesting. I think the top side, though, is where this game's going to be decided early game.
I think early game, definitely, top side will impact just so much. I mean, Sejuani loves to get ganks off with her melee solo laners, so Gwen, one of those melee solo laners, it helps her proc her passive on her E and just get an extra CC in with those ganks, so going to be super powerful to be up there and threatening that Aatrox early. Like you said, you don't want him to get ahead because then he's just a monster. So we're just going to have to see if these junglers end up, like you said, focusing towards that top side, or we also see just super hyper carry champions in the bot side as well. And this is all just not to mention the Akali and the Vex in the mid lane. I mean, one of the best players on Polymorphed, Apto Fangirl, without a doubt, just on one of these hyper carry champions that can just decimate a backline. It's going to be very interesting to see. And which team do you think you would put your hat towards in the ring if you had to bet?
Oh, I don't know. I generally don't know if I can choose. My problem with a lot of things, I might be leaning more towards Reef right now. I kind of like the general team fightingness of their comp compared to Poly. A big problem that we need to look at early game is that, yes, you've spoken about Apto Fangirl's Akali, but Akali into Vex is in favor of the Vex. It's a lane that favors Vex. So it's kind of interesting to see themselves kind of counterpick. Maybe she's looking more for team fights rather than laning phase. So it'll be interesting to see how that 2v2 goes with junglers engaging.
I definitely agree with you, Wolf. I mean, when we're looking at these two drafts, everybody on either side of these two teams has just had answers for each other. The Vex, the answer for the Akali. The Gwen, a really good answer, I would say, for the Aatrox, despite it being kind of just a fistfighty lane in the first place. Milio, a super unorthodox pick with Lucian. You had the Nami up, but you just are so confident in what you've practiced. These two teams coming super prepared, and we'll have to see how it all plays out on the Rift after this short break. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CWL Upper Bracket Finals between Polymorphed and Reef Tsunami. Polymorphed on the left side, on blue side, Reef Tsunami on the right for now. The loser of this match does get to select sides, so we'll have to see how they move on later on in the series. But currently, that's where these two teams are positioned. I'm joined by Wolf. Wolf, you see anything interesting on our screens right now?
Yes, I think it's quite when it comes to runes, it's kind of expected all the picks. But however, if we look to the bot side, Poly right now, they're playing a priority lane with the Lucian Milo. They're kind of looking for the pressure, they're looking for fights, but they're not running any engaged summoners, which is very surprising. Whilst on the other side, they're definitely running more kind of a fighting engage. So we could see the Sejuani looking bot lane early and trying to look for a big gank.
Do you think they could be opting for the scaling Lucian pick?
Oh, if they are, then it's a mistake.
I mean, you never know. I mean, these champions do develop throughout the seasons, but I do agree. I feel like Lucian is one of those early game champions, so I wouldn't like to see it being opted for as a late game carry. But you never know. I mean, Milio does things, and he's interesting. He's something that we've never seen in League of Legends. A champion that gives teammates range. We've never seen it. So I mean, maybe it allows Lucian to maybe thrive a little bit in the late game. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. As we see this game just starting out nice and slow, people farming up, not too much. When we're looking for things early game in this, just generally in this series, I think that knowing these top laners, the top lane will be interesting early. I think we'll see some fights. I think we'll see some jungle ganks. With the mid side, I think it should be in Vex's favor. We might see a gank from Zac trying to help the Akali who's going to be pushed under tower as we see Aatrox poking out.
And, I mean, you're talking about ganks. We have the Sejuani moving towards that bottom side, clearing top to bot. We have a very similar story in the blue side as well. Polymorph jungler moving towards that bottom side as well. Looks like it's going to be full clear from both champions, and the focus is entirely on the bot side. It looks like the top laners are just going to be left to their own devices, despite it being a rather volatile lane. And Polymorph crashing this lane early does mean that the wave will bounce back into them, possibly. I mean, they might end up just trying to push it again, but they have a lot of pressure already. We'll have to see what the Sejuani does in response.
Yes, I think for Vatch, I think the focus of this game, very much early, with the priority that you'll have in the bot side, is you're going to be looking for Drakes. As we said, Sejuani moving in, trying to find something out. No, she's not going to be able to. But definitely when it comes to the Zac, he wants to be looking for these Drakes.
I 100% agree, and I mean, every single member of all of these teams does want the Drakes, right? I mean, like, bottom line, you don't want to give the Drakes, but I do agree that on the side of Polymorph, you have that early game pressure, you have that early game mobility as well, so you want to be able to just try and abuse those to be able to get one of these dragons early. And topside is just trading so aggressively. Sorry, just a little bit of an aside there, but yeah, I mean, early game prowess on the side of Polymorph. They're going to look to pressure and look to just flex their muscles a little bit, but Zac is just going to be a little bit behind the Sejuani.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know why Canapten in the top lane is kind of poking out and fighting this Aatrox. She's going to scale. She's going to come into her game later. Aatrox is definitely stronger in the early side as we see him tanking a tower shot. Not too good of a trade. The bot side, it does seem that the Lucian Milo have lost their kind of pressure. They might need to try and get that back up. We see Fresh maybe looking for a play.
And 4 minutes. 4 minutes, and we haven't seen a single summoner burned yet. It's just that the importance of this game is just so much that these two teams are both trying to just play on a needle point, trying to play on a thread, and just not make any mistakes, because it is the upper bracket finals. If you win this game, you go to finals. You have one more series to play before you can win the entire CWL. Zac is in the mid lane. Raccoon does end up getting engaged on, gets knocked back. Akali does not quite land the E, and Active Fangirl isn't quite able to follow up a flash out from Vex.
Yeah, lovely play there from Vex. Just getting out. Oh, as we see the Sejuani going in. Gonna have to be a flash. Oh, what a hook!
The death sentence does end up landing. Mattia Masso will fall. First kill towards the side of Polymorph. Actually, Mattia Masso survived so long, and First Blood does end up going over to the Sejuani.
Yeah, they tried to give the kill to Jinx, but she just couldn't get it. Going back to that gank in the mid lane, it was a lovely play from Vatch. Oh, as we see Aatrox getting low on the top side, he needs to be careful. It was a lovely play from Vatch. He noticed that the Vex hadn't built up her fear bar, so she couldn't hit the W fear. So we went for the play. A nice flash from Raccoon. They couldn't really get the kill, and a big play in the bot side occurred.
Do you agree with the decision by Mattia Masso to burn that heal just so that the Jinx doesn't end up getting First Blood?
I think it's definitely interesting. I do agree. You don't want the kills on Jinx. I think he knew he was dead. It's an okay trade. I would probably make that decision if I was in his position. But this Jinx needs to have her gold taken away from her.
And as we're talking about gold being taken away, Super Saiyan A is making his way down into this bot side as well. Mattia Maso looking for just a little bit of poke damage. The Zac does nearly find Kanze, but Kanze has to flash away. Flash burned from the ADC of Reef Tsunami, and that's exactly what you wanted if you were on the side of Polymorphed.
Yes, also talking about looking topside, we see a decent lane advantage for the Gwen. Is it really expected? Well, actually not so much in the early side. Gwen is definitely a more scaling champ. We see Akali looking for the poke, a big W. I think this is going to be nothing here. Nope, nothing at all. But yeah, this top side, definitely a nice lead for Gwen. And Aatrox does have that flash advantage. Maybe he can look for something.
But as we're talking about that, Zac is starting up the dragon. Looks like Polymorph does just have the presence on the map right now to be able to secure it. Not too much contention coming out from the side of Reef Tsunami, but Vex does end up TPing in. Might be able to look for something. Does have the ultimate. Sejuani just trying to get into the pit, but can't quite find her way in. Looks like A's might be trying to fight off the back of it. Akali does engage onto Kanze. Kanze has no flash, but Apto Fangirl can't quite find the damage. Pokerbatch does end up getting taken super low by Raccoon. Raccoon gets the Zac passive. Apto Fangirl finds a kill onto Sejuani, but ends up falling himself. Raccoon getting extremely low as well, but Simply Magic is just here. TP in, Kanze getting taken down, and 3 kills for the side of Polymorphed.
Yeah, it was a lovely roam from Magic coming down from the top side. I was a bit worried about Vatch's flash. He accidentally feared the Akali with Vex coming in, but it was just not a fight that you wanted to see from the side of Reef. They're scaling. The Drake was gone. They should have left. I don't know why they were looking for anything.
I mean, walk me through this fight.
I think looking at this fight, if we see, we're going to see Vex hitting that ult. If we see Zac does flash, doesn't actually fear the Akali, so I was wrong there, but flashes into the enemy team, trying not to get the Vex on his backside, and we just see the Aatrox, a lovely flash, moving in, focusing the backline and the carries. And just a quick cleanup. Gwen was just not there. She didn't have TP, she couldn't move down to the fight. It was just a great fight for the side of Poly.
And I blinked and I thought Apto Fangirl died. I mean, you heard it in my voice when I said that Apto Fangirl ended up falling, but the flash was just pixel perfect, dodges the damage ability, and survives there. So all members of Polymorph surviving that play is absolutely huge.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting to see the Lucidity boots coming out first for the Zac. Most people, yes, you do get that cooldown reduction. It does let you hit more of your abilities easily. It's just most people like to go for that kind of tankiness style on Zac more so than ability spam. So that's definitely something interesting to see. Illusion's building up a nice lead, but on the counter side, Gwen, who should have really fallen behind in early game, had this Aatrox move. Oh, as we see the bot dive incurring.
Yeah, Death Sentence does end up landing Thresh, lands the Flay, and down goes the ADC of Polymorphed.
Yeah, lovely bot dive there. Oh, Fresh tanking one more tower turret. There's not really much that Lucian can do. He's got no sums. They haven't really got the vision in the bot side. Oh, it's just wasn't meant to be.
And it's what happens. You trade the pressure. Your ADC might have just had to literally sack that entire wave because you move towards that top side with the support, with the jungler, and every single member of Polymorphed in that top side to secure the Rift Herald. That does mean that maybe Pastico should have played a little bit safer and ends up going down there. I mean, it's a good punish from the side of Reef Tsunami, but definitely a misstep from Pastico.
Yeah, I'm also, if we're looking at the mid lane items right now, I'm happy that Fangirl has gone for the blasting one first and early. A lot of Akali players like to go for the boots, the Salt Boots rush. A lot of pro players don't agree with that. They kind of think that it's a bit of a mistake, so it's nice to see the blasting one. More kind of damage earlier, more pressure in the lane. It's just a good decision.
And it's definitely worth noting that it's just a different world from solo queue, isn't it? I mean, we can make comparisons, we can make snap judgments that certain champions are just strong in both, but when you're looking at a 5v5 environment, it's just so much different from a solo queue environment that the pacing's different. Maybe Sork Boots aren't as important, but Simply Magic getting taken extremely low. Recaptain doesn't quite land the R3 and has to just ghost away, walking away like nothing happened, even though they just fistfighted. But Mattia Maso does end up trying to face check this bush. Super Saiyan Ace engages, but Mattia Maso flashes out super quickly. The Lantern does just end up saving the Sejuani. No more follow-up from Pastico. He might actually end up getting turned on. Akaspun looking for another death sentence, doesn't quite land it, and it's once again just a trade of summoners, a trade, just an engagement from both teams, and no one ends up dying.
Yeah, a fight going back and forth. I thought Peisico was maybe caught there if the fresh hook was just an inch closer. But yeah, that was an interesting fight going back and forth. Obviously, we saw the Milo go for the flash. The Sejuani tried to go for the dash, but couldn't get the knock up on her. Or as we see Zach fresh walking into him.
And Raccoon is here. It's a lane gank from the mid laner, not something that maybe the side of of Polymorphed is expecting, but I'm not sure Raccoon can find anything here. Gonna have to just recall and maybe move towards that mid lane.
Well, as we see
Zach
going in, a kill. Oh, lovely stopwatch.
Yeah, Akaspoon does get extremely low. Stopwatch saving his life for now, but Peisico ends up taking him down, and that's 1 kill for the side of Polymorphed. Raccoon wasted all of his time.
Yeah, it was a good stopwatch, but they had no wave, nothing to protect him, and he just fell.
And Apto Fangirl looking for something off the back of that, but I'm not sure it's a dive angle. It could be. It's going to be a 4v3 in that bottom side. Sejuani moving towards the turret as well. Kanze is the target, does end up flashing. Jinx taken extremely low, doesn't quite die to Apto Fangirl, does end up falling finally to the Lucian, but Pokebatch is the next person on Raccoon's target list, but doesn't quite get taken down. Not enough damage or follow-up from the side of Reef Tsunami, and Apto Fangirl should just be able to walk this one out.
Yeah, Vex isn't like a Carly. If she doesn't have ult, she doesn't really have that threat. She's more of a kiting champion, which is why we saw her chase, but not really able to clean up. It was a nice play in the bot side. I think that we're going to see them going one-on-one Drakes is definitely interesting. I was expecting Polly to have the Drake advantage for this bot lane to be kind of smooth sailing, but it's definitely not been the case.
I mean, fruits of Reef Tsunami's labor, they pushed so hard in that bot side to just try and make something off the back of a possible overstay from Polymorphed, and don't quite find the kills, but they find themselves the dragon. Despite it being a cloud, denying that soul stacking opportunity for the side of Polymorphed is definitely what you wanted.
Yeah, I definitely know from the talking about the ADC side of Reef, I definitely know that Kanze was looking at these enemy summoners and kind of going, I don't know what these guys are doing. These guys are kind of easing down on the pressure and the threat that they should have. So I think that's why he's kind of been a bit more aggressive, a bit less lenient towards the possibility of an enemy jungler being there, which is why he's been able to push up decent in CS, not too far behind, 20 CS actually, so quite a decent amount. So we see Aatrox going for trades.
Aatrox going for trades, but I think Gwen might be the one in control of those trades. Does end up taking him extremely low, and Sejuani ping's already coming out towards that top side. Looks like Reef Tsunami will try and get something done in the top side of the map, but I'm not sure they'll be able to find any damage onto Simply Magic. Really weird position for A's here. Captain is baiting a little bit, but Simply Magic sniffs it out. Has to burn the flash to dodge the Glacial Prison. Really good flash from him, and nothing found for Reef Tsunami.
Yeah, burning the flash. It's unfortunate. We see Lucian, Milo getting that bot priority, or we might see a fight in the top side.
We definitely might. Raccoon ult does end up going wide. Simply Magic taken not low at all. 2 kills towards the side of Polymorphed, and it's Call the Ambulance, but not for me. Super Saiyan Ace has to flash away, and that's 2 kills for the side of Polymorphed off the back of Reef Tsunami's play.
Yeah, that was a lovely counterplay by Polly. Reef just weren't expecting the Zac to be there as we see Lucian eating up. Stepping into Jinx. Oh, the hook!
The Death Sentence does take Peisico extremely low. The ultimate from Jinx doesn't quite take him down. Dodges the zap as well, and Kanze shouldn't have any abilities to follow up any further. Peisico taken extremely low, and Polymorph just not quite able to get punished anywhere.
Gosh, Reef, Polly, give me a breather. There's fights everywhere on the map. It's consistent. I do like it. We're seeing kind of slowing down a second. This Lucian is far ahead. He's 3-1 kills. He's got a 20 CS lead. He's definitely in the perfect position to win this game. And Aatrox in the top side. He fell behind in CS with the roam, with the laning phase. But he's come back and he's back in the fight.
He's back in everything. I mean, all of Polymorphed is in this game and in a position to carry. Even the Zac 1-0, extremely strong right now. Looks like he's going to be building into that Demonic, which I think is a really strong item on Zac. So he's even going to be a source of damage as well. The only member on the side of Polymorph that I would say wouldn't be is Milio, but looks like a Kali. Apto Fangirl trying to engage onto Raccoon. Raccoon doesn't have any more fears up. Apto Fangirl just has to R2 out. And I mean, despite looking for something there, I mean, Polymorphed are just in the driver's seat permanently this game.
Yeah, the later this game goes, the better kind of trades Fangirl can do. Her ult cooldown will be a lot lower than the Vex's. Yeah, I think I definitely agree. Aatrox getting caught, trying to turn on the Jinx.
Yeah, Kanze can't quite kite. Does actually end up kiting it out, and Simply Magic will simply be dead.
Yeah, definitely. I think let's just everyone watching. Let's take a quick breather, a quick cool down. Okay, this has been quite an intense game. Let's just look at this game state right now. So we're 1-1 in Drake's. The Herald has been going over to the team with the advantage right now. We're seeing a 2k full lead for Poly. Oh, Zach engaging the mid lane.
Yeah, as soon as you're saying chill, the side of Polymorph is saying no chill, bro. Raccoon taken down by the Akali. That's another kill for Apto Fangirl.
Yeah, this is a cluster. We just need to be careful here. First turret down for Poly. Good job from them. Good play. Oh, we're going to see the Herald placed in the mid lane. Will it hit? I'm not too sure as we see Sejuani trying to take it, but Akali pressuring her out.
Yeah, it does look like the first turret will end up going over to the side of Polymorph. It was really close, wasn't it? I believe it was just seconds apart, but Herald does end up crashing as well. So, I mean, like we've been saying this entire game, Polymorphed in this driver's seat. It is the Infernal Soul that is on the chopping block. The dragon will spawn in under 30 seconds, I believe. It's, I can't find the timer right now for some reason. 45 seconds, sorry, yeah. So, under a minute, Infernal Dragon on the cards for Polymorphed, and they are strong enough to 100% fight for this.
Yeah, definitely. Infernal Soul. From a pro player perspective, Infernal Soul is probably the second best soul in the game. Maybe only Hextech is the one that can be said to be better. It's a strong soul, and with both teams kind of going 1-on-1, if I'm on the side of Poly right now, you want to use this lead to your advantage. You want to get these Drakes, stack the soul. Don't give Reef a chance to scale with their champions such as Gwen and Jinx.
And it looks like that's just going to be a handshake from both sides. Reef Tsunami has their ADC and their support moving towards the top lane, so that does mean that they won't be fighting. But Akali does end up just engaging into 3 of them. Sejuani does end up showing up. Apto Fangirl just ults over the wall and is able to walk it out, but 3 members committed towards the side of the top lane for Reef Tsunami does mean that the dragon is just free for the taking.
I think if you're Reef right now, I think it's a good decision, as we said, see Sejuani trying to go for Akali, but he should be out. Yeah, when it comes to the side of Reef, I think right now they don't really want to be fighting these objectives. They want to just give their laners, their solo laners, some time to scale up, get stronger, get back into this game, get their item spikes. Because if they throw everything too early, then this game might end really fast.
And Apto Fangirl just has to kind of back off. I mean, like you were saying, just putting that pressure towards the top side means that Jinx gets a free golden fusion. Apto Fangirl doesn't have flash or ultimate, has flash but doesn't have ultimate available, has to E out, has flash available, should just be able to walk it out. I can't see any more follow-up. Yeah, does end up just walking out, but in the bot side, Raccoon also has to flash, so flashes from both mid laners.
Yeah, trying not to burn the flash with tower there, but just couldn't get close enough. Had to burn it. A lovely play from Vatch and Simply Magic. Oh, this game's funny. Oh, sorry, you go.
No, I was just going to say, I said flashes from both mid laners, but Apto Fangirl actually just walked it out, so didn't have to burn flash at all, and has all of her summoners up. Yeah,
definitely the threats on the side of Poly are coming online. They're going to be terrors for the rest of this game. It's going to be a tough road for Reef, but it's still a road they can take. The win is still a possibility. When I'm looking at this game still, I think that definitely next Drake will set the kind of rhythm of this game. If Reef are able to take it and stall it out, it's definitely into their advantage. I would like to see them fight it, but on the side of Poly, even if they get it, they've still got to be careful. Yes, they are on soul point, but they need to try and find team fights with the advantage they have to kind of extend their lead enough that the scaling of Reef doesn't come in.
Yeah, so you're talking about the scaling of Reef. We never really touched on it in draft, I don't believe, but I would say that Reef does have the better scaling team comp, don't they? They have Jinx, they have Sejuani, who gets it absolutely tanky. You were talking about Gwen and how much of a monster she is in the later stages of the game as well. Vex, also just a mage, so going to be strong in the late game. All of these members of Reef Tsunami able to play so well in the later stages of the game, whereas Akali, Aatrox, Lucian, all these champions kind of fall off. So would you say if Reef Tsunami get to a certain stage in this game, they have a way to claw back in?
Yes, but it's a very late game stage for that to occur and that to be the case. It's just tough right now to look at it in that way. I think that, yeah, their scaling is better, but the whole point of an early kind of comp and these champs, also a mid-game comp that we see on the side of Poly, is that you want to get that lead, kind of go even in some cases, get a lead in kills on your carry champs and have them execute the correct objectives. I think right now, yeah, we're going to have to see another 2 free items on the Gwen and Jinx for them to really scale.
And I definitely do see what you mean with the side of Polymorph just having accelerated this game semi out of hand. Simply Magic not even able to farm the free camps here, actually, for some reason. Captain and applying a little bit of pressure, but all of the side of Polymorph is in that top jungle. They're in Reef Tsunami's jungle. The game is so accelerated at this point that Reef Tsunami might just not be able to play. Captain in looking for an engage in the bot side, though. Simply Magic doesn't have any way out. The ultimate isn't quite up for Captain in, but instantly turns the fight. So much healing from Simply Magic, and one member down for the side of Reef Tsunami does mean that Polymorph turn their sights toward this Baron.
Yeah, Captain, the all-in was not the correct decision there. You needed to play it out. You've got the ult from Aatrox. You needed to just wait a second, wait for it to go, kind of kite around him as we see the Baron getting lower and lower. Oh, goodness. Zac needs to get out. Vex moving in from the top side as well. Aatrox just not there. He does have TP. He could TP in. We're going to see Poly get off the Baron. Oh, not what they wanted.
Another huge death sentence from Akaspun does mean that Milieu gets taken down. It means that Polymorph have to back off of that Baron and can no longer accelerate the game to another point where just Reef Tsunami have no chances. Just a hero play from Akaspun to be able to find that onto Matiyamaso, and a misstep, obviously, from Matiyamaso because he could have just not gotten near the pit wall, but really well played from Reef Tsunami to be able to find that.
Yeah, also looking down to the side of the Jinx, I can see that we can see that she's gone rapid fire cannon. But what that tells me is they're not looking to fight early. She hasn't rushed the IE. They're looking to kind of sit back and try and stall this game out.
And stall this game out is exactly, like you said, what Reef Tsunami are seeking to do, and it's what they've succeeded in doing for now. I mean, finding that kill on Demilio does stall the game out a little bit longer. If that Baron did end up getting picked up by Polymorph, I feel like the game would have just gotten so out of hand. So it's definitely really, really good that they ended up getting that pick.
Yeah, well, I'm looking on the side of kind of team fights from Reef as we see them grouping around the mid lane. With Reef, it's tough to say who they really want to go on. Yes, Lucian will be doing a lot of damage, but you have to be careful and wary of this Akali, because if she is given the opportunity, she will one-hit your Jinx.
And nearly all summoners up for the side of Reef Tsunami does mean that they're a little bit safer. Jinx has that flash and Ghost available. It might be able to kite out that Akali, get out of the way if need be. Akaspun does end up finding the death sentence onto Matiyamaso, gets the Glacial Prison as well, just ends up getting taken down. And Pasico is next on the chopping block. Captain chases him down. Gale Force flash away. Apto Fangirl also next on the chopping block. Another death sentence, taken extremely low, just one shot. And everything is going up for Reef Tsunami.
Yeah, Magic needs to make a big play here. He's going in, hitting the W. Oh, just
not quite able to find him. Captain does end up getting taken down as well, so it means it's actually just a 2-for-2, and two members of Reef Tsunami down does mean that they just can't fight this dragon anymore.
Yeah, Magic wasn't there. They were split as we see the hook going in. Jinx free hitting.
Simply Magic getting free hit, like you said, by the Jinx. Super Saiyan A's taken extremely low, but Kanze's just free hitting so much. Simply Magic does end up getting taken down by the Jinx ultimate, and Zac is next on the chopping block. Pasico not quite going to be able to fight back, just taken down so low. Kanze does have to get excited, might be able to find Pasico, but Pasico just walks away, and that TP does mean that it's another turn. Apto Fangirl showing up and ulting over Super Saiyan A's, getting Kanze taken extremely low, does end up taking him down as well. Super Saiyan A's also dying, and that's two more kills for the side of Polymorph. This fight has been so back and forth.
Yeah, lovely play from Kanze, just getting those free hits, outstepping the Zac, just getting the reset. But the fight lasted too long. They couldn't get the Drake with a lot of them alive. The Akali came back up after getting caught earlier. She had the TP, she got in there, and she managed to trade a kill.
Raccoon looking to try and steal it. There isn't a smite here for the side of Polymorph, but going to be deterred by Matiyamaso, just has to walk away, and that's another kill. I mean, sorry, another Infernal Dragon, and Infernal Dragon soul point for Polymorph.
Yeah, definitely. Again, we're not really... Vex still not completed her second item. She doesn't have a lot of gold, but she's not the carry here. If she wants to, she can just kite out for her Jinx and Gwen. Mainly the Jinx. Look to land the fear on that Akali and Shroud, because that is what the Vex is good for. Landing the fear on Akali, getting her out of her invisibility, and having her team jump on her. And
when we're talking about the carries of both of these teams, I feel like Jinx right now, like you said, is just the heart, the beating heart of Reef Tsunami, and I feel like Apto Fangirl is the beating heart of Polymorphed. So I think that all eyes are on these two carries in these next team fights, and whichever one of them dies first will probably decide the fight.
Yeah, definitely. We are seeing a slight XP gap starting to form in the top side. We've got a 2-level lead for the Aatrox. Lovely hook from the Fresh, but not much. The Milo cleanse coming in and Aatrox moving up.
Yeah, the hook doesn't end up getting them much. Super Saiyan A's is going to be the next target for Polymorph. Gets taken down immediately. Akali looking for a second, not quite able to engage any further. Pokevatch might be a little bit too deep. Simply Magic under the turret. Akaspan does find another death sentence. It's so huge, but the side of Polymorph just able to walk it out. Vex does end up re-engaging though. Jinx gets another kill. The Vex ultimate is so big. 2 for the side of Reef Tsunami. Make it a third, make it a fourth. They're going to look for Pasico as well. Taken extremely low. Kanze might be able to follow it up. Captain N does have the Ghost, and Pasico gonna be taken down as well. Oh, actually not quite. Okay, there we go, yeah. Another kill for Reef Tsunami. 5 dead, 4 polymorphed, and a Baron.
Yeah, Baron will fall to Reef. Lovely kite there from Kanze and Reef. Kind of kiting them out. A great ult from Raccoon. A bit unfortunate for Fangirl on the Akali. It just hit her hitbox. And once it landed, she knew she was dead.
I mean, I can't wait to see the replay there. I couldn't even keep up while I was watching. Just so many people dying, so many people left and right. Baron does end up going over, and that's just a huge flip for the entire game.
Yeah, I think when looking at the replay, let's keep an eye on the Vex and the Jinx. So we see the hook coming in, the great cleanse from the Milo ulti, and the Aatrox starts to push up, and we get to see it's just kind of a collapse going in right now. They get pushed back into their towers, Sejuani goes down, Vex is brought so unbelievably low, they can't get them, and Aatrox gets a bit too far in, they start getting poked out, the Jinx hits come in strong, and we get to see the Vex ult. There lands the one, he gets the reset, and just hits the Akali for the second.
It was just extremely well played from the side of Rift Tsunami, and here they are bearing down on the first turret in the mid lane. Finally, they get that objective bounty, and they're just back in this game. The gold lead is nearly even now. I can't even state how much the momentum has swinged in this game, and it's exactly what we were talking about. They stalled long enough, they hit their power spikes, and they fought with them, and they won.
Yeah, if I'm looking at the problem in this game, with Poly, they should have really got started with the advantage they have. They should be 4 Drakes up right now, but they just a couple of bad fights on the bot side, and they weren't able to get that pivotal cloud. I think right now it's definitely looking more in favor of the side of Reef. There is still a chance for Poly. They were in the driving seat. They technically still can be. They just need to deal with this Jinx and not give Vex those resets.
And just like you said, we were talking about just the stalling out of this game, and it was just, at the end of the day, mistakes for the side of Polymorph. A little bit of an overstep. They went a little bit too deep in that last team fight. They had Super Saiyan A's. They killed the jungler of Reef Tsunami. They were able to turn back towards that Baron, but they wanted more. They got greedy. They saw more kills on their dinner plate and went for them, but they bit the hand that fed them and ended up just literally all dying and giving over that Baron that they could have just turned back towards after killing the jungler.
Yes, if we look at itemization right now, just before the Drake spawns, we've got a big item spike for Gwen in the top side. Aatrox still matching though with his 2 items. In the jungle, we have a big item advantage for the Zac. In the mid lane, very even, pretty much identical items. In the bot side, however, though, yes, they are identical, but these 3 items are a lot bigger and a lot more impactful on the Jinx.
I definitely agree. I mean, Lucian does have that blue theme going for him, you know, it does all kind of match. It looks kind of clean, you know, but not very good. I agree. Essence Reaver not going to be doing nearly as much as that Infinity Edge. Navori not going to be doing as much as that Infinity Edge. Same thing with the Essence Reaver, not going to be doing as much as just how much range Jinx is getting with that rapid fire cannon. Lost Whisper, super strong for shredding these tanks as well. And Kraken Slayer, similarly, super strong for shredding these tanks, and so much attack speed on this Jinx right now.
Yeah, this fight can decide the game for Poly. They need this soul and they need it now, and not give Reef the time to get back into this game.
And Poly have ways to be able to get the dragon even if they can't actually find their way into this team fight. Zac gonna be Eing in though, not quite able to get onto anybody. Lands the Q, lands the flash auto attack as well onto Arcaspan, but so much peeling for this Jinx does mean that Captain N is just peeling so well. Apto Fangirl in the middle of 4 members, not quite able to take down Kanze. Kanze is alive, but how much longer? So many low health bars on the side of Polymorph, and Polymorph will just end up taking down Reef Tsunami. 2 down, 3 down for the side of Reef Tsunami. 2 left. but Raccoon and Captain is all you need. Mattia Masso is the last member standing for Polymorphed, and ace for the side of Reef Tsunami.
No, Paste, what were you doing? Oh, he saw the Penta. He saw all 5 on 1 HP, but he should have played it out. He flashed into melee range. He got 2, but he needed to get more. He should have played it out better. A lovely fight from Reef.
And here we're about to look at the replay. I can't wait for you to walk me through it. I mean, these two teams playing extremely well, but Reef Tsunami just coming out on top.
I think if we look at the replay, it was a lovely hook from Fresh on the Aatrox. It saved them, and we see this kind of ball. It was not so good from Akali. She missed a lot of ability. She was in trouble. And as we see Lucian flash in there, get 2, but he falls. He's not there to fully clean up. And you can't do much into a Gwen. She's going to clean you. She's going to kill you, and she's gonna get the Drake.
I mean, it's just an entire flip for the side of Reef Tsunami. They're now dead even in gold. I mean, they were dead even earlier, but just so many kill trades going back and forth. We saw every single member on the side of Reef Tsunami get extremely low. It looked like Akali might just be able to Q and kill them all with 1 Q, but not quite able to find the damage, and Reef Tsunami coming out on top yet again. But Akaspun does look like he's the target of Apto Fangirl, but as an Akali, you're a little bit afraid of that Flay, not going to be able to find anything, and honestly, we were talking about how much in the driver's seat Polymorphed was in this early game, but Reef Tsunami have picked up the driver's seat, they're driving the car, they own the car, and they're taking Polymorphed wherever the heck they want.
Yeah, it's true. We're also going to see Deathcap start to come online. I kind of feel like Fangirl's falling under the pressure. He's not done the kind of advantage that she had in the early game. She's kind of faltered. There's been positions and fights where she should be really killing this Jinx and picking up more and getting out, but she's kind of messing up. She needs to calm herself and reposition, maybe look for a flank, maybe look for a backline access. Not so much split pushing top as we see her now, or she might get caught.
And I think it's really important to note that we've gotten to a stage in the game that the gold differential and just the items on all of these members is literally just insane. I mean, Sejuani is currently 1,000 gold behind this Zac, but since Zac opted for that, even Shroud opted for that early game aggression, that early game power, does end up falling off just because Radiant Virtue is such a strong item on the Sejuani, and getting that second item completed for Sejuani, despite not having 3 full completed items, I feel like the Sejuani is stronger than the Zac, and I feel like everywhere else, the gold lead is for the side of Reef Tsunami, so they should just be able to win every single fight from now on.
Yeah, the gold lead, from a numbers point of view, isn't too far apart, but that's not Poly want. This game's getting stalled out, and the later it goes, the harder it is for them to play team fights, as we see them on the Baron.
And they're starting with the Baron. They might just be able to try and burn it, but I feel like Reef Tsunami are definitely going to be contesting this one. Gwen is TPing down. Vex ultimate does end up landing on Mattia Masso, but oh my gosh, does end up taking it. Raccoon getting extremely low, does end up taking Mattia Masso down, but that does mean that Apto Fangirl was the next target of Reef Tsunami, getting taken extremely low as well, and maybe a worthy trade. Simply Magic does get taken extremely low. Captain in just so much spacing. Pokrivac not able to do anything. I mean, he's a Jax that you can't kill a Jinx with 3 members of Reef Tsunami there as well. Simply Magic gonna get taken down by Captain in next. Oh, not quite. Does end up getting taken down by the Jinx, though. Apto Fangirl not going to be able to find anything here. The death sentence through the Shroud does mean that it's another kill for this Jinx. Triple kill for Kanze.
It was a tough fight. We may see Reef go for the Nexus. Most likely, though, just the inhib. Oh, the problem with Poly, they're not playing like a team. They're too split. They need to be trying to play around this Lucian, who has a lot of their gold, and looking for the backline. Akali had the flank on Vex, but she'd hit the R. She'd taken it, and she got the kill. It's just not a great team play coming out from Poly.
The death sentence not quite able to land, but I'm not sure Polymorph Reef Tsunami can look for much more. They might actually be able to, though. First, the Nexus turret does end up falling. Second Nexus turret on the chopping block. Zac re-engage does mean that Reef Tsunami might be in a little bit of trouble. The backline getting taken extremely low. Kanze ends up falling. Vex falls in the front line. Actually, Kanze survives, does end up taking down Pokrivac, and so many low members from all of these teams. Pesico gonna try and make the hero play. Not gonna quite be able to find Kanze. Should just be able to walk it out here. Aatrox is lying in wait, though. Kanze doesn't have enough time to recall.
Oh, but if he can get the reset, there's
Flash
one. But he's getting sandwiched.
One. Oh, but if Aatrox is playing well here, then Kanze should just end up going down. and Pastico does barely live that Jinx Zap, and that means that it is a huge flip for the side of Polymorphed.
Yeah, definitely. The problem is, though, we have 4 members on the side of Reef down, and Drake is coming back up. This gives Poly the opportunity to get in the pit, clear vision, set themselves up for this sole fight for their side. If they can get this Drake, if they can properly execute as a team, then they might be able to come out on top and maybe push for Nexus.
And this Infernal Soul is not something to be scoffed at. Like you said, it's one of these strong Dragon Souls that literally just instant wins you games, and the gold graphs have been so even for the entire game past 20 minutes. Polymorph need to be able to just secure this dragon, and honestly, they might be able to look for a fight off the back of it. Captain is trying to space, but Aatrox gets taken extremely low, just drops, and Vex ultimate does end up landing with Glacial Prison. Another kill over to the Vex.
Yes, Infernal...
actually. Yeah, Pastico does end up getting out, but really well played from Reef Tsunami, and the pressure is on.
Yeah, Infernal Soul picked up for Poly. Lovely play from them, just taking the advantage they had with all of Reef dead. But the problem now is that Reef is going to get a free Baron. Top inhib down, they can put pressure on the mid and bottom inhibs. It's going to be tough, but Poly are going to have to defend, look for a play, not fight under Nexus.
And it's literally just a tempo game at this point. Simply Magic does have a staggered death. If Reef Tsunami can look to pressure anything while Simply Magic is dead, doesn't have that TP up either, they might be able to pick up something else. Maybe that bot tier 2 like they're looking for right now. You can see the Sejuani, Jinx, and Thresh moving towards that bottom side. And it's just so much pressure with a Baron, with an open Nexus, that I'm not sure Polymorph will be able to do anything but succumb.
One thing I'm going to point out right now, if we look to both sides' AD carries, this could be a game-changing mistake or a game-changing decision. They've both chosen to go damage instead of GAs. If they are able to deal that extra damage and come out in fights on top, it's definitely worth, but they're putting themselves under a lot of pressure. If they get caught by either opposition, either ADCs, and die, then the game could be over.
And no stopwatches on either team, so no stalling in this game, no GAs, no stopwatches, no messing around. These two teams are looking for an end on the next 5v5 fight. I mean, literally any team can win right now. 37 minutes does mean that an ace just ends the game. So looks like Reef Tsunami trying to end it now, moving in towards that mid lane as 5. They have the top pressure with the super minion wave, should be able to take down this inhibitor turret, moving on towards that inhibitor next, and Acto Fangirl going to be able to look for something, but probably not going to be able to find anything. Second inhibitor does end up falling. Reef Tsunami moving towards that top side, baroning up the super minion wave, and it's honestly a PvE game right now, and I'm not sure that Polymorph can win.
They need to fight now.
Vex does end up getting that ultimate on Simply Magic. So much spacing. Looks like Reef Tsunami might just be able to target down the Nexus, and the game is over. Reef Tsunami won the first game of this best-of-3 series, and they look to turn their sights towards the finals.
Yeah, it was a lovely game from Reef, especially Kanzi. He played it exceptionally well. A lovely play, a lovely kite from them, especially when they were hit with such a deficit in the early game. I think with the side of Poly, there was a couple fights, a couple objectives that you weren't really playing like a team. You were too split, and you're a Carly fangirl. Yes, she had her pop-off moments, but there were a couple occasions where she could have done a lot better. That Jinx lived multiple occasions when she shouldn't have, and she was able to clean up fights and get gold on her to help her reach this late game situation. It was a tough game from Poly, but a great recovery from Reef.
And you were talking about just the superb plays from Kanze, just absolutely outplaying and surviving all of these instances. But I think that the emphasis cannot be put enough on Akazpun in all of these situations as well. Finding key death sentences, finding key plays, and keeping his Jinx alive for so long, it did enable Reef Tsunami to be able to find so many of these plays, to be able to re-engage with that Jinx because she survived for so long. But obviously here, no abilities up. It looks like Simply Magic did just clean up. But Akazpun, such a pivotal member of Reef Tsunami in this game as well. And I mean, all members played well. They had to be able to win this game. It was so close, and all members from both teams had to be firing on all cylinders. But I cannot commend Akazpun enough on this Thresh.
Oh yes, he hit a game-winning hook. It was hard to see, but in that second-to-last Drake fight, he hit an insane hook on the Aatrox, saving his Jinx and getting the Aatrox killed and giving his team resets. It was a lovely play from him. I definitely think he played well. Do I think he's up there for MVP? I think that's a bit more questionable. But some of the hooks he hit was game-changing.
And, I mean, when we're talking about just game-changing plays, you also look at Raccoon with his ult re-engages, finding key picks, getting the Jinx excited in these team fights so that she could scale throughout the team fight as well. Just, I mean, every single member of Reef Tsunami believing that they can win despite the gold deficits and despite being so behind in the early game, playing into their scaling win conditions, and despite such huge slip-ups like this one on the screen right now, they did end up finding their way back into this game, and they won. I mean, just so well played from Polymorph, from Reef Tsunami.
Yeah, definitely. I do think the only player on their team that you could say maybe wasn't impactful was Super Saiyan Ace. I do think that is probably because his teammates were doing so well. Should he run it back on the Sejuani? Probably yes. I'd like to see them redo this comp as much as they can. If I'm looking at this from the side of Poly now, I'm thinking, yes, we can't let this Jinx through. It is too strong right now in the right hands. The Gwen also, it's a champ that, yes, you maybe give your top lane a counter pick if you can, depending on the side selection that we're going to see, because Poly do have side choice.
Yeah, Poly do have the side selection in this second game because they are the losers of game one. I didn't quite hear what side they actually ended up choosing. They chose red side, so looks like Polymorph will be moving towards the opposite side of the map in this game. And like you said, they're just going to have to adapt. This is a best of 3 series, so the series is far from over. The upper bracket finals is far from over. There's so much more action to come. These two teams played so well, and the game was so close that you have to just assume that any sort of development in these drafts, in these games, could result in a completely different result. So we'll have to see how they end up playing in game 2, how they end up drafting in game 2, and who ends up taking home the trophy for the upper bracket finals and moving on to the actual finals of the entire CWL playoffs after this short break. And Polymorph will just end up taking down Reef Tsunami. 2 down, 3 down for the side of Reef Tsunami, 2 left. But Raccoon and Captain is all you need. Mattia Masso is the last member standing for Polymorph. And Ace for the down. Vex Ultimate does end up landing on Mattia Masso, but oh my gosh, does end up taking it. Raccoon getting extremely low, does end up taking Mattia Masso down, but that does mean that Apto Fangirl was the next target of Reef Tsunami, getting taken extremely low as well, and maybe a worthy trade. Simply Magic does get taken extremely low. Captain in just so much spacing. Pocketbatch not able to do anything. I mean, he's a Jax that you can't kill a Jinx with 3 members of Reef Tsunami there as well. Simply Magic gonna get taken down by Captain in next.
It's just not a great team play coming out from Poly.
Is not quite able to land, but I'm not sure Polymorph can, Reef Tsunami can look for much more. They might actually be able to, though. First, the Nexus turret does end up falling. Second Nexus turret on the chopping block. Zac re-engaged does mean that Reef Tsunami might be in a little bit of trouble. The backline getting taken extremely low. Kanze ends up falling. Vex falls in the front line. Actually, Kanze survives, does end up taking down Pokubatch, and so many low members from all of these teams. Pesico taking down Pokubatch, and so many low members from all of these teams. Pesico gonna try and make the hero play. Not gonna quite be able to find Kanze. Should just be able to walk it out here. Aatrox is lying in wait, though. Kanze doesn't have enough time to recall.
Oh, but if he can get the reset, there's one. But he's getting sandwiched.
Oh, but if Aatrox is playing well here, then Kanze should just end up going down. And Pesico does barely live that Jinx Zap, and that means that And this Infernal Soul is not something to be scoffed at. Like you said, it's one of these strong Dragon Souls that literally just instant wins you games, and the gold graphs have been so even for the entire game past 20 minutes. Polymorph need to be able to just secure this dragon, and honestly, they might be able to look for a fight off the back of it. Captain is trying to space, but Aatrox gets taken extremely low, just drops, and Vex Ultimate does end up landing with Glacial Prison. Another kill over to the Vex.
Yes, Infernal
actually. Before you can win the entire CWL. Zac is in the mid lane. Raccoon does end up getting engaged on, gets knocked back. Akali lands, does not quite land the E, and Acto Fangirl isn't quite able to follow up a flash out from Vex.
Yeah, lovely.
Welcome back, everyone, fans, viewers, and new faces as well. This is the CWL Season 5 upper bracket playoff finals, and these two teams have just faced off. Reef Tsunami won the first game of this best of three series, and Polymorph need to bounce back in this game if they want to have any more hopes in the upper bracket. Both teams have one more chance. If they end up losing this series, they will face UWE in the lower bracket finals and possibly move back onto the finals if they can win that series. But a free ride to finals does lie on whoever wins this series. I'm here with Wolf. Wolf, how you doing today, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good. That was a great game we saw. It was kind of everything we wanted to see. The early game advantage from Poly, the late game kind of comeback from Reef. It was good. It was close. It was so unbelievably close. Even Sol falling towards Poly, but they just weren't able to find the Jinx and take her down and be able to close out. And they just kind of lost to the Siege, as we saw in the end.
And we were talking about how we wanted this to be a banger series, how we claimed this would be a banger series. I mean, it's match of the week, for Pete's sake. It has to be a banger. But we didn't quite expect it to be a banger first game. I mean, the game was back and forth. Polymorph was winning the early stages of the game on an early game comp. They had the win in the bag, but they overextend on a singular Baron fight and end up just losing entirely to Reef Tsunami for the entirety of the rest of the game. A 40-minute banger, back-to-back team fights, fist fighting left and right. We could barely keep up. I'm so excited to see how this second draft ends up taking us.
Yeah, definitely. If I'm coming from the side of Poly, I think the two big changes I want to see is I want a champ that just kind of has the potential to be a big scaling late game. Just one champ, just something to fall back on if you do play that early game comp, which we didn't really have last time. But it was a lot of mid-game and early champs that were coming out from Poly. So when it did reach that kind of late stage, they didn't have the carry to take advantage of that gold lead. So I would love to see something like that coming out. I think that looking to the bot side, I think the Lucian was ahead, but I just think the champ just wasn't able to do that much into the enemy composition. I'd like to see something a bit more carry going back to it, something like the Zeri, maybe a Zyre as well, with the carry possibility and the survivability.
I 100% agree with you there, Wolf. I feel like Reef Tsunami had Polymorph's number. They had the champions that scaled well into the late game, the just strong picks in the meta like we were talking about with Sejuani, with Jinx, with Gwen, kind of a meta counter pick, does really well into the Aatrox and just in general into the draft that Polymorph picked, just able to play so well into those champions as well. And Vex countering that Akali. I mean, just Reef, like I said, just had Polymorph's number. I would like to see Polymorph respond now that they have the red side for the first time in this series with a little bit of a number of their own.
Yeah, as we see the Jinx getting banned and the Zyre response, these ADCs. Oh, and there we go. That's what I've been wanting to see this whole playoffs. The Zeri coming out. A strong kind of ADC in the bot side, which gives you some good kind of team fighting capability and scaling. We might see Milo with her. Milo, yes, Milo is picked as well. Very nice. Udyr on the other side. Ooh, Sivir, I'm not too sure about this decision. Ooh,
it was instant locked.
Sivir Karma, interesting. Going back to a couple months to a year ago when it was Zeri Sivir, the only two ADCs in the meta. It's definitely interesting. I think right now I have to lean towards Zeri, though, in kind of just the meta and kind of sustainability in lane and scaling. Sivir is good, but it's just going to be hard for her to find angles to live and have that survivability that Zeri has. So we see the bans coming through. We're going to have Gwen and Aatrox being banned out, which is good because we're going to have something different, interesting in the top side.
And Irelia ends up getting banned out for the side of Polymorph as well. And looks like Reef Tsunami answers with a Zac ban of their own. Olaf going to be locked in. It could be in the top side. It could be in the jungle. It's kind of a good flex pick here for the side of Polymorph. It means that Reef Tsunami kind of has to blind pick their top side. And GP is an absolute comfort for Captain. I'm not... Sorry, for the top laner, which... Yeah, it is Captain. I'm 100% not surprised about this game plan pick.
I'm a bit worried about what Poly just did. I don't think they thought that through. They picked this Olaf, but this Olaf, I don't think was ever a flex. It's just gone straight to the jungle. Because when I'm thinking, yes, Malphite is good into GP, Olaf is also so good into GP. As Olaf, you can beat that GP early, destroy him, get yourself a massive lead. Also, with Malphite, you're more so looking for those kind of team fights and just kind of poke. I think it was a big mistake to pick this Malphite. I think that Olaf should have been flex top, and we should have seen something else in the jungle.
I definitely feel like Reef Tsunami have a little bit of Polymorph's number here, like you were saying, and I feel like Reef Tsunami, you were talking about the Karma Sivir lane not being exactly what you expected, but it's actually going to be Sivir Rakan in that bottom side, so Karma in the middle lane. I'm not sure if Reef Tsunami might struggle with a little bit of damage output issues. I feel like maybe they might not have enough damage with Gangplank and Sivir being their only real sources of damage. Udyr typically building more towards that tankier side of the build, so we'll have to see how these two teams end up facing off and how it ends up going, but I could see them struggling with that a little bit more in the later stages.
I'm a bit worried on the side of Reef as well. We don't really have that AP damage. The Karma, if she's playing intelligently, will probably go for more of the support builds. I'm a bit worried that we might see AP Udyr, and yes, it would be interesting, but it's not strong, and he's much better on the tank and the tank build, or maybe even the lethality build if we go that far back. But I don't really want to see that AP build on him at all. So I'm kind of worried that Reef have put themselves in a bit of a dire situation. Plated Steel Caps is going to be so strong on a lot of the side of Poly. I think that we could see a kind of a bit of a too much lean into an AD comp.
I definitely agree that that could be the case, but I'm going to use a little bit of my jungle knowledge, my jungle correspondent angle here, and I will say that I feel like the Udyr build with Demonic into Sunfire into just more tank like Radiant Virtue, I feel like that build is pretty solid, and it is more of an AP build. Like you said, it's just not enough to warrant any of the side of Polymorph building any MR, which it could be an issue for the side of Reef Tsunami, because if they build full armor, then your main damage threats are just not doing any damage. But we'll have to see how this game ends up playing out. We could see literally anything. These two teams played so aggressively, so well in their last game, in the first game of this best of 3 series. We'll have to see if it's another banger, if it's a complete stomp one way or the other. Which side do you think will win this game?
I think that we could be seeing a game 3. I think that I love Poly's draft, what they've done. I'm still a bit questionable. I do think this Olaf should have gone into the top side, into the GP, but still, as an overall 5-man composition, it's very strong, and it knows what it wants to do. It wants Olaf and Malphite to get in there, deal the damage, kind of try and kite out and chase the carries on the other side, the GP and the Sivir, and have Zeri and Syndra just kind of poke out and kind of kite around whilst the Olaf and Malphite engage. When it comes to the side of Reef again, I'm just a bit worried about that AP damage. Where is it going to come from? If you get Zeri, if you have an Olaf who only needs to build AD, he's going to be a threat.
I definitely agree that Olaf will be a threat in this game, and I feel like just both teams have their win conditions. I feel like Reefs are a little bit more dire, a little bit more narrow to get down. I mean, they have so many ways that they could struggle as well, but as we're getting into this game, it looks like we're going to take a look at the rosters really quickly, and then we're going to take another look at the bracket. I mean, the story of these two teams, they've done so well in the regular season. Both teams nearly dropping 0 losses in the regular season, dropping 0 losses so far in the playoffs until today, and Polymorph lost their first game in the playoffs bracket. Polymorph have so many carries on their side. They have a carry mid laner in Apto Fangirl. They have a carry top laner in Simply Magic, and we've seen Pastico have moments as well. On the opposite side, Tsunami has Aze, has Khans, and has Raccoon as well. So, and I mean, even Captain, we saw him pop off on the Gwen. So many just facets for Tsunami to carry as well. But when we're looking at the brackets, when we're looking at where these two teams are going from here, if Reef Tsunami end up winning this game, they will end up moving on to the playoff finals for the CWL Season 5. And if Reef Tsunami end up losing, then obviously we'll go to a Game 3. And if Polymorph ends up winning that third game, they do have a chance to make it to the finals as well. But despite that, whoever ends up losing the series will move down to face UWE in the lower bracket finals to possibly make it back to the finals or be out of the playoffs entirely.
Yeah, definitely. UW are a threat. I think we're about to hit it to a break, though. We will be right back with Game 2.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CWL Spring Playoffs Upper Bracket Finals between Polymorphed and, Rift Tsunami. I'm just brain farting entirely, but we're back on the Rift to see these two teams play off. Polymorphed on the right-hand side, on the red side, and Rift Tsunami on the left, on the blue side. Rift Tsunami are currently leading the series 1-0. If they win one more game, they win it all. They move on to the finals. If they end up losing, then we have a third game in this already banger series. I can't wait to see how these two teams end up facing off. Wolf, how are you feeling, man?
Yeah, good. I think when looking from this just looking at the information we have now, the Malphite going Comet in the top lane, definitely the correct choice. With Resolve, you're not really going to be able to hit those auto stacks on the GP because he will be playing far back. Meanwhile, going to the bot side, I'm a bit worried as we see GP maybe pressuring Malphite in the top. Alpha getting a good Q. In the bot side, I'm a bit worried in the fact that we're seeing it again. On the support on the side of Poly is going the heal. I kind of want something a bit more strong. I know heal is good in this situation, but I think I'm just a bit worried that if the Rakan engages and a jungler's nearby, or maybe a mid-roam, I think that Zeri could just get insta-killed.
I definitely could see that being a problem for the side of Polymorphed, but I do have to say that I feel like they won't have the push in this lane. I feel like Sivir just auto-shoves most of these lanes and should be able to get the shove in despite it being a double-range lane for the side of Polymorph. They might have the early shove, but once Sivir has level 3, I mean, she's going to be getting the waves in permanently. I feel like there might not be that much of a damage threat for the side of Polymorph. I'm not sure, though.
No, I do agree in that respect, but what I'm more talking about is the fact that when Sivir's going to be pushing in these waves, but eventually she does, she's not going to have that much mana, so you want to be looking for a turn when she's at her weak point before she resets. But when you don't have that kind of fighting summoner, it's hard to put yourself in like 100% winning state in that lane.
I 100% agree, and it looks like Kanze has the same idea as us casters, might be reading the script a little bit, has the Cole on his first buy, so going to be opting for just farming up, playing super safe, just electing to handshake the lane. I will play later. In 100 CS, we can finally start fighting, and I'll have a gold lead. And, I mean, just early game pickups for most of the members in this game are pretty average, but I would say that I'm a little bit confused about Captain In on the Corrupting Potion. I feel like maybe Gangplank doesn't thrive that well with Corrupting, and Corrupting is one of the worst starts in the game right now, objectively, so definitely interesting to see that, and he's getting poked out so much by this Malphite.
Yeah, normally I would agree, but not really so much in this situation. I think Corrupting is actually a good choice. With the Corrupting into Malphite, you're both going to be using a lot of mana and HP and poking out each other, so it's kind of good just for that sustain. He is kind of losing this. Oh, could we see a kill? Oh, the flashes!
2 flashes out in that top side and a little bit of a stun in the mid lane, but what a skirmish. Malphite might actually be in danger to this Udyr gank and doesn't have flash. Captain In just has to back off, can't tank another Q from Simply Magic, just gonna have to, no ego, give this kill over to his jungler, and first blood for the side of Aze.
Yeah, it was a lovely flash from Captain, a great response and prediction. Oh, it was just, luckily GP not getting the assist for the top side, but it's unfortunate that went down that way.
I mean, first blood for the side of Rift Tsunami does mean that there's an 8 CS gold lead for that Malphite. We were talking about how much he's dominating that lane, and he definitely is, and he's still dominating that lane. Like you said, Gangplank doesn't get that assist, so Malphite is still super ahead in this lane, just a little bit of a misplay, I would say.
Yeah, I think that he maybe needed the preemptive flash. Also with the side, because he's gone Comet and not Resolve, his all-in is weaker. He's more of a poke champ in the early game, so that's kind of why he wasn't able to fully burst out the GP. It's just kind of a tough thing, especially not really paying attention to a possible jungle movement. Maybe that's his fault, or maybe his jungler's fault, not tracking enemy jungler. Tough, but we see the Syndra getting nice poke in the mid lane.
And when we're talking about jungle movement, there's only been jungle movement that mattered on the side of Rift Tsunami so far. I mean, Pokervatch hasn't quite found his stride in this game. I mean, he's been full clearing, but something you definitely expect to see from an Olaf is these invade styles of gameplay, these just, I am so much stronger than most junglers in a 1v1 in a skirmish, so I would have liked to see maybe a little bit more fighting, and looks like he's going to look for something in this top side, but Recaptain does have to misstep. Looks like he's going to... Yep, ego up a bit. Pokebatch does pop the ghost, should just be able to run. Captain In down. Captain In does end up falling, and not quite actually. Pokebatch not going to be able to find the last auto. Doesn't have Q up yet. might be able to land it, but oh, Captain just walks away, and it's just pure sadness for the side of Rift. Sorry, for the side of Polymorphed.
I hate to say that. I think Pokeri just trolled. Oh my goodness. He should have got that kill. We should have seen it. Oh, this is a risky dive. They're both 1 HP. Oh, they get the trade. Yes, he will. But the execute. Oh, lovely stuff. That's definitely recovered it for the side of Poly. It's just, I was worried there. That should have been an easy kill for Pokeri, but I think he just kind of got a bit cocky. He thought the GP was dead, and the GP just hit the W on the slow, walked away. Tough.
Yeah, GP getting a little bit of last-second healing with his orange, and does mean that since Pokebatch missed an auto attack, also threw his axe a little bit too far, wasn't able to re-pick it up, wasn't able to chase the GP down, and Captain just kind of walked away. It means so many resources burned towards that top side for Polymorph, towards a Malphite. I mean, this champion isn't going to carry you late game. He's going to be tanky, and he's going to find good ultimates no matter what. You don't need to get him ahead, so I think that Tsunami is definitely coming out on top, trading that kill, their top laner's HP, their top laner's life for a Hextech Dragon. I mean, that's definitely worth for me.
Yeah, I think let's go back to what we were talking about in drops as well. We've seen Malphite run the steel caps because of this AD threat, and there is a terror in the jungle of Reef. If we look, there is a Dark Seal purchased. That has me worried. Is this actually going to be a full AP Udyr? If it is, it's going to be tough to see that work. But if it does, well, I might be eating my shoes. There might be a good player, might be a good decision. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
I definitely feel like it just shouldn't be. I feel like with the Swifties picked up, Dark Seal is pretty standard on an AP tank, just any AP tank jungler. You see it built on Zac. You see it, I'm a Nunu connoisseur. You see it built on Nunu all the time, and you're building full tank, but you just survive so long. You live most fights since you are the tank, and you have so much HP and so many ways to just disengage that usually you're able to survive. Means Dark Seal is such a huge pickup if you're already going to have AP scaling anyways. So looks like he's building into that demonic along with the Dark Seal, going to have a lot of AP early. Also means he's going to be rather tanky, and he'll probably build tank after that, I would assume. We'll have to find out. Like you said, we can't really speak for the future, but that's what I would assume we're going to see from A's in this jungle.
Yeah, trust me, I'm definitely not hoping. I'm definitely hoping that it is going to be that tank Udyr. Looking more to the bot side, I think if I'm Reef right now, I think what I want to do is that if I'm looking bot side, I know that because of the way that it's gone, I'm knowing that my Sivir is going to proc and finish her collector early. Her cull early. Therefore, you're going to have a gold advantage and item advantage. What I would do then is I would have them reset, maybe move to the mid lane and look for the Herald. But it appears that Olaf might be sneaking it.
Does look like Polymorph might be able to pick up that Herald for themselves, and I feel like it's just because the bot jungle for the side of Polymorph has just been forfeit. Pasted Co not quite able to farm a couple of the waves, got zoned off because Udyr was just in that bottom half of the map, and Olaf opting to just be in that top half instead, try and punish Captain and try and get this Malphite ahead, which is a weird play to elect for. I agree, not focusing on your carry getting ahead, and this Karma also hovering towards that top side for Tsunami does mean that they don't really want to give everything over. And I feel like we're going to see a little bit of action in this top side.
Oh, as we see a dive possibly coming in, Malphite tanking tower, or maybe a bit too early. We'll see Olaf going in hard on the ult. Oh, another lovely flash. Malphite mispositioning. Is it going to be a double? It's one, but not the second. Oh, a terrible play. Oh, it's all going wrong in the top side.
One kill does end up going over towards Tsunami, and it was just a huge play from Raccoon to be able to roam up there, and it definitely turned the fight. It turned Pokrivac into a dead man. I mean, he died under the turret. Gangplank's huge outplay does land that ultimate and clears the wave. Malphite is super low already, and that means that it's not only a kill towards Rift Tsunami, they have bot pressure, they have top pressure now, they have pressure everywhere, and all Pokrivac and all Polymorph have to show for that is a Rift Herald.
Well, Simply Magic looking for some more CS. He has to be careful here. One barrel, he might be taken out. I thought with that top side, it was definitely... Ooh, they knew they were coming with good vision in the jungle. It was a lovely roam from Raccoon, but it was just... Simply Magic just didn't need to tank that early, and Olaf just wasn't expecting the flash. He should have really held his Q. It was just a tough... It just wasn't... It was a tough dive, and it didn't really go to plan. And what's unfortunate is what I was going to bring up before is that Malphite had a 40 CS lead. You didn't even need to go for the dive. You had the advantage. But now that the failed dive happened, GP's getting more gold. He's getting back into this game.
GP's definitely getting back into this game, like you said, and I feel like all of Reef Tsunami is kind of into this game. I mean, Simply Magic has died twice, but he's only gotten 1 kill. I mean, one of those deaths was a execute like we were talking about, but 2 kills to 1. They are somehow 300 gold behind on the side of Reef Tsunami, but it feels like they're just in the driver's seat right now.
Yeah, that gold difference is definitely in the mid lane. I've played this matchup before. It is incredibly hard for the Karma. It's just, you're going to get poked out. The Syndra does everything you do in a lane kind of circumstance, but 2 times better. She has better range, she has better poke, she has better all in. There's not much you can do as we see GP maybe going for too much. Oh, a lovely W. Just hitting it at the right point. But yeah, in this mid lane, we're going to see this gold difference, but Karma is looking for team fights. She's not looking for a lane advantage.
But, like you said, lane advantage does translate. Karma got extremely low, and, oh, Zeri does end up getting the kill. Paceico securing that kill for the side of Polymorph. Super Saiyan A is trying to play the front line. Paceico not quite able to peel it out enough. Might be a little bit of a Zeri moment, chasing down Raccoon, chasing down A's into that brush, but it looks like Reef Tsunami might just end up backing out. A flash forward from Outdo Fangirl does find a stun. Spoon does end up not quite landing anything onto Paceico as well. Flashes everywhere. Super Saiyan Ace does end up getting knocked back by Milio, and it's no kills for no kills, but a dragon for the side of Polymorph.
Yeah, Poly needs to be careful and back out. They haven't got Zeri ulti anymore. In the same respect, needs to walk away. I think Poly could have got more there. They kind of got a bit scared. They kind of fell back a bit. They didn't push up and allow Zeri to keep getting those ulti stacks. They just were a bit too scared, and I felt like they could have got way more.
I definitely feel like they could have gotten more. I feel like both teams could have gotten more. The fight was in a position where either team could have won in multiple different points, but really good to see that neither team actually ends up dropping a kill. They're playing rather safe. It is literally the deciding game of the series. It decides which team makes it to finals or which team has a chance still to make it to finals. If Reef wins, they move on to the finals immediately. If Polymorph wins, they have another chance in this series to be able to make it to the finals directly without playing another whole series against UWE. So this game matters so much. Yeah,
and I think that for these teams, you can't underestimate UWE. They've been on the lower bracket runners. We see Syndra maybe getting caught. You're landing the stun. Will she get to tower?
Ace does find an engage on Apto Fangirl, but Matiyamaso there, support, doing his job, does have the ultimate ready, or doesn't quite have the ultimate ready, but heal prepared does mean that Apto Fangirl is able to just walk away, doesn't even have to burn the heal for Demilio, and I mean, just stopgap, I guess.
Yeah, true. Interesting that we're seeing the Sunfire rush in the top side for the Malphite. Definitely common. I don't know if it's really a good decision into the GP to rush it. Kind of hoping for something more, a bit more sustaining and a bit more like just team fighty. When the Olaf, we can see that Udyr is trying to poke out, trying to invade, trying to pressure this Olaf, find where he is. He's sitting on a 20 CS advantage. He's out farming this Olaf, and to be honest, they both scale in teamfight quite equally, but if you're allowing this Udyr to get ahead of the Olaf, as we see, maybe a top side 2v2.
Not quite. Looks like Malphite's just going to back off. Has the ultimate available, so just so much space able to be bought. I mean, if you back off even slightly as a Malphite, you have the ultimate ready, you nearly have your flash ready, and if they're not tracking your flash, you have so much distance, like, theoretically, that you can cover to disengage there that Udyr can't quite find a gank. Looks like PokerBatch won't even opt to stay in the area. Gonna recall, move maybe towards his bot camps in a second, and looks like the focus will shift more towards that bottom side now.
Yeah, I think we just take a step back and we look at the gold. Yes, it's an advantage of Poly, but if we look at the laners, Malphite is sitting on a lovely gold lead. Yes, you might think GP into Malphite, yeah, Malphite should be sitting on this lead, but Malphite still wants the gold as we see him going for the tower. 2 levels up and GP's got a flash. He's sitting on a massive advantage. He's nearly 60 CS up in lane. He's getting there close, and he's 2 levels up. This GP, I don't know what he's done. I don't know if it's these continuous dives. Even the dives going wrong, he's falling really far behind, and GP needs golden XP. He's a late game champ. If he doesn't have this, he might as well be a ward.
And we were talking about wards. Looks like Optofanger will be found on the ward. Does end up getting knocked up, but Olaf just able to walk it out. CC immune does mean that Rift Tsunami will end up moving towards that Rift Herald. Simply Magic not quite able to find anything here. A's not going to be able to do much damage to that Malphite. Super tanky boy, like we were talking about, super fed. So much armor, and not taking tons of damage, has to ult out. And Millia ult also burned on him, so that does mean that the Rift Herald will go up to the side of Rift Tsunami.
Yeah, lovely play. I do think ProKorean needs to hold his ult a bit. It's a big threat, and it's very scary when Olaf has ult, and not really when he doesn't. So we see Zeri going for the 1v1.
Kanze's next on the chopping block. Pacetico does have the Zeri ultimate doing so much damage, has the Ghost, and Kanze can't quite get away. Milio doesn't quite land the ability onto Kanze. Flash burned as well, and that's Flash and Ghost burned from the ADC of Reef Tsunami.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. In the past, it used to be more even, but nowadays, Zeri definitely has the advantage the later the game goes, especially in the 1v1 situation. She's just a better champ when it comes to just like those two against each other. But when it comes to team fights, when it comes to the spell shield that Sivir has, it gives her more potential to really clean up in the 5v5s.
And with Sivir having to reset here, it does look like the Dragon might just end up going over to the side of Polymorph. A little bit of a shift of pressure once again. Polymorph having to give that Rift Herald, but now in a position to be able to fight for this Dragon. Gangplank has to move towards that top side. Simply Magic has the TP. It should just be conceded towards Polymorph. I don't think that Rift Tsunami has the ability to fight for this Dragon. Looks like they're going to look anyways. A's in this brush, looking just to maybe find some hero play, some hero steal onto this Infernal Dragon. It is Infernal Soul yet again. Gonna get close, does end up landing the smite. Pokrivac choking at the last possible moment. Actually 300 smite down on his damage, so does end up just giving it over to Super Saiyan A's, and that's another Dragon for the side of Reef Tsunami.
Look, in first game, we were talking about Super Saiyan A's. Well, to be honest, we weren't talking about him at all. He wasn't really showing up. He wasn't really a big playmaker. He wasn't the big reason that Reef were winning in the first game. But now, on the Udyr, he's coming out in full force. He's making plays. He's definitely been the star of the show on the side of Reef. And it's important because, yes, Kanze and Captain will scale and definitely be the threats late game, but he is the early game champ on this team.
And not only is he the early game champ, he's the only AP champion besides Karma and Rakan, which both, let's be honest, are not going to be building AP. You do see the Amp Tome in Rakan's in his shop as we're speaking, but that's building into a support item. None of them are actually building pure AP. You also see the Fiendish Codex, but Haspun flashes over Apto Fangirl's stun, does quite land the ability, and Apto Fangirl will fall.
Yeah, lovely engage there from the Rakan. Fangirl just not having a great series. Just kind of not realizing too much about map awareness. Getting caught out on multiple occasions. We'll see Malphite roam down though. I think Simply Magic has to be the carry on this team, which isn't really what you'd expect to say about a Malphite.
Raccoon looking to help his teammates as well, but Simply Magic finds a massive ultimate into Reef Tsunami. Reef Tsunami, Kanze getting extremely low. The Olaf falls, the Sivir falls. Raccoon next on the chopping block for the Zeri, but A's in the backline does take down a couple. Pacetico looking to turn back towards that fight, but I'm not sure he can 1v2 this fight.
Be careful, Ghost coming back up.
TP does end up coming out from his mid laner though, and that's a win for Reef Tsunami.
Yeah, I felt past it.
Yeah, for Reef Tsunami.
Yeah, I felt bad. Pastico, I was looking at him. He was missing a couple Qs there. He probably should have got a couple more kills. But, oh, it was looking close. I kind of thought Udyr maybe could have cleaned up. But it was still a lovely play and lovely a great play from Pastico as he's getting run down.
He should just end up going down here. He doesn't have any way out. Doesn't quite land the wall ride and just going to end up dropping.
Yeah, I actually think, oh, she got kills from the Zeri did in that fight. That was kind of a poor fight from Pastico, especially getting caught afterwards by this Udyr. You should be timing this Ghost. You should be knowing it's coming up, especially when your Syndra, whose TP has left you alone. It's just a bit risky and just a bit of a misplay. I think he needs to just take a breather, kind of calm himself down and think out how he's going to position himself in these team fights.
And despite that team fight going the way of Reef Tsunami, it was a fight that gave Pestico 2 kills. It got the kills on the correct champion, right? You want your Zeri to be getting these kills, and you really don't mind if the Udyr or if the Karma, people like this, are just getting random kills. They're not going to be as oppressive as your ADC if you're the side of Polymorph, but once again, just like you said, overstepping despite that, maybe a little bit tilted about the play, maybe a little bit just frustrated with the series in general. I mean, it has not gone their way so far, but both teams have an outlet. They have a way to win this game, and when we look at the armor stacking on Simply Magic, eventually he's just going to be invulnerable.
Yes, definitely. However, I will point you to one thing right now in this situation. We have 2 Drakes to the advantage side of Reef. One more thing I will point out is look at Sivir, look at her item. She is going for that early IE, meaning that if these drinks come quick and fast, and Zeri isn't allowed to get
Captain
the
just
IE
die,
or
by the
something
way.
else. Oh, the poor ult. Oh, the flash! Oh, it's lovely! Can he hit the Q? Oh, it's an easy kill. I think he might get traded out by this Udyr. He's strong and fed.
Ace is definitely doing tons of damage, has the Demonic, has the Jack Show, will take down Simply Magic, and this Udyr is taking over.
Yes, definitely. As we see them getting poked out, I think that you want to take what you got. A 1-for-1 is not too bad. Udyr just kind of stepping up, trying to look for something. I'm Polly, I think he needs to get out.
Basic on the run. A is not quite able to catch up. Just so much peel from the side of Polymorphed, and A's is just CC'd forever despite being CC immune for a couple seconds, and looks like just a little bit of flexing in the mid lane will not amount to anything. Polymorphed gonna end up backing off, and a TP out from the GP does mean that he'll just end up clearing that wave as well.
Yeah, definitely. As we see the IE coming on Sivir, this is big for the Drake spawning up. Zeri is not going to have her crit item, meaning that Sivir has the potential to properly deal damage in this fight if allowed to free hit. So I think eyes on Sivir. This is a good point and a good place for Reef to be to take this Drake fight.
And we were talking about the fight in the top side. Simply Magic does end up going down. Dragon spawning in 10 seconds now, but it does look like the Malphite ult it comes up so quickly now. We're in Season 13 where every cooldown is just not really a cooldown anymore, and Malphite ult is available. He's getting caught out a little bit. Simply Magic gonna get taking a little bit of damage from A's, the only magic damage dealer on the side of Reef Tsunami, doing his job to burn down that Malphite a little bit, but it looks like Polymorphed are going to try and enter this fight. Super Saiyan A is trying to play frontline a little bit, keep that Syndra out, but it's a fight on two fronts. Rift Tsunami have to back out. They have to give Dragon control over to Polymorphed. A huge Malphite ultimate does find 3. Reef Tsunami drops 3 members. A's in the backline trying to kill Pasico. The Sivir is just kiting for so long. Udyr can't quite find any more damage, and it looks like it's just going to be a one fight for Polymorphed.
Yeah, a lovely Malphite ult. We've said he is the man, and he has the plan. It was lovely from Malphite. He got the advantage in the top side. I was kind of worried a bit because GP was allowed to free farm because Malphite was roaming for these fights. But in that fight, we just saw it. The big knock-up. It's why they picked him into heavy AD, and it just performed so well.
Udyr doing so much damage though. Simply Magic dropping extremely low. The Demonic Embrace just so much damage, along with the Jack Show just making him so tanky. And we were talking about the Dark Seal. We're talking about a little bit of dark technology for A's. He has so much damage now with 9 stacks on that Dark Seal, not dying once in this game so far. Mattia Maso has to burn the flash. Pastico next on the chopping block for Raccoon, but not quite able to take him down, not quite able to find that route. It looks like first turret mid will end up falling for the side of Reef Tsunami though.
They might be looking to bait a Baron, try and find a pick. I'm a bit questioning this Karma pick. It doesn't seem to be doing much as they do start the Baron.
1,300 gold in the pocket of A's. It's definitely an interesting call. He hasn't quite reset. It doesn't look like the Sivir is reset either. But like you said, just a huge spike. The Baron is getting extremely low. Looks like it's just going to drop, and a really good macro play from the side of Reef Tsunami does just secure them a free Baron.
It was a lovely macro play, but I think poor vision and poor kind of understanding from the side of Poly. They should have known. They saw them in mid lane going up. They should have really known to check Baron, and we saw Olaf nearby. I think it's kind of poor. I don't think they should have given that up.
It was definitely a tempo play. I feel like Reef Tsunami, they noticed that Polymorphed had to get their backs in. They all won that team fight. They all had so much gold in their pockets as well, and I think that it was just a gamble, and Reef Tsunami won it.
Definitely. One thing I will point towards the Malphite, though, however, he is running Jack Show. Do feel into what we've talked about. Yes, we have this Udyr AP, but I think the Iceborne would have definitely been much better as we see poke out. Zeri stepping in a bit too far up, getting that attack range boost from the Milo. That's pretty safe as Malphite going for the trade top.
These Malphite trades have not looked like trades. They've looked like a massacre. This rock is just slamming onto Captain and doing so much damage this entire game, and it just doesn't quite look fair for the GP. Just so much burn, so much damage over time as well. The Corrupting Pot not even keeping them healthy enough, and GP has to reset again as Rift Tsunami look to bear down on this mid lane turret.
Yeah, as we see them get the turret, Udyr trying to push forward, get kicked back. I definitely think that this GP is a bit questionable. You saw the Olaf, it definitely could have been an Olaf top, and GP is not good into Olaf top. So I don't know why he really possibly countered himself, as we see Malphite in the backside.
Huge flank from Simply Magic, not quite able to get any damage though, and Aze is spacing so much for his team. Rift Tsunami not in any danger despite the Malphite flank TP. You would assume that it would do so much, but Aze just kiting the entire side of Polymorph with his insane tankiness, his insane damage as well, and just going to be a win for Reef Tsunami.
Yes, definitely. I think Poly, they need to try and find these 5v5s, as we'll see the replay now. Let's look as we see the Drake fight coming in. We had the advantage from Reef. They had the positioning, but they managed to just get pushed off. It was a lovely ult from Malphite, as we'll see now. A huge 3-man knock-up, zoning them far. Sivir wasn't given an opportunity to do anything. She needs the fight to last long, and the fight was over with one click of a button.
Malphite is definitely strong in those team fights, finding those 3-man knockups, and you don't have a way to dodge them all. You have Sivir Spell Shield, but that only works for one member, and as we saw, it can mean that 3 of your carries are just instantly dead, 3 of your squishies, and in that fight, Rakan, Karma, and Gangplank all dying instantly as soon as Malphite pressed R, so just such a strong tool, and so good that he's so ahead. Looks like the second mid lane turret will end up falling, though, because of this Baron, and Rift Tsunami just maintaining a driver's seat despite a couple of teamfight mishaps, and maybe not quite having the better teamfight team comp.
I will also point to 2 things which have just surprised me a bit in itemization. One is the GP. He's gone for the shield burst early. Normally you kind of go for the strong crit build, kind of build your mythic a lot later, but he's decided to go early, which is unusual. And a very questionable 2 purchases from the side of Olaf. Yes, he's gone the Serpent Fang. Not really the stereotypical Olaf item. Yes, they do have a lot of shielding, but I don't know if it's really the correct item. And the thing that's puzzled me the most is we've seen Lucidity boots Olaf. That's just incredibly unusual. Yes, you get the Q and E and W cooldown lowers. You lose that tankiness, and especially when you're into a heavy AD team like Poly you're into now, I feel like that steel caps would just be too good, and I think he's wasted an opportunity.
I feel like steel caps definitely just have so much value in this game, and the Serpent's Fang is definitely strange, but I mean, when you're opting... Oh, Raccoon getting extremely low due to Apto Fangirl's ultimate. Not quite going to be able to find the kill, but that could mean that Raccoon has to reset, burn that TP, and that puts you in a good position 5 seconds before a dragon when you want to walk into that river. Yeah,
if I'm Reef right now, I'm thinking, yes, I need to look for the Zeri, but I'm kind of going... Malphite might be the only person that's tanky on their side. If we can get a good engage on someone, with the Karma, maybe a good barrel with the GP on someone that isn't the Malphite, we might be able to clean up.
And Simply Magic going to be looking for another monster ultimate in this team fight. Just so much spacing because he has that ultimate available. Pastico poking so much. A's trying to find something into that backline of Polymorphed. A huge ultimate from Simply Magic does knock up one, but one goes down. Olaf falling. Simply Magic falling. Polymorphed on the retreat. Looks like 3 more flashes. A's is in the backline. A's is taking over. Raccoon gets a kill. Mattia Masso falls as well. Pastico next on the chopping block. The 5th member to fall for Polymorphed. And that is a 5-man ace, a 5-man clean ace for the side of Reef Tsunami.
I said it, I was worried about it. Olaf ran and then instantly died. He has no tankiness whatsoever. But let's not look away from that. The real MVP of that was Haspun. Have to look at his engages on the Rakan. 2 of them in insane knockups, as we'll see in the replay.
The knockup does end up finding 1. Looks like Malphite just ends up dying, like you said, and another knockup by the Rakan does find 2, and 3 flashes instantly. A's in the backline.
Just lovely play there from Haspun. Incredible cues and just good positioning, knowing that he has to split the fight, stall his team so they can kill this weak Olaf and this tanky Malphite and kite them out. It was just a lovely play from the side of Reef.
So well played from Reef, and so well played this entire series from Reef. I mean, they're 1 win away from moving on to the finals of the CWL Spring Playoffs. They are 1 win away from a huge cash out. I mean, we'll show the possible winnings later on in the screen, but Infernal Soul 1 dragon away. They have victory in their grasp. Reef Tsunami just need to be able to close this out, and like we were talking about, Simply Magic has so much armor and so much ability to just survive. Flash ultimate does end up just surviving a 3-man gank in that top side, but with a full AD team comp like Reef Tsunami has, it's definitely important for Polymorph to be able to just get into this later stages of the game. So it's on Reef Tsunami, the timer is on, and we have to see how they end up playing right now.
Yes, Reef know they can take a fight now. No matter. Oh, but the Olaf on the backside insta kills the Sivir who used her flash earlier. She couldn't live. She couldn't survive. And the lethality Olaf has got a kill.
Kanze got deleted. Olaf literally pressed Q, auto E, and Kanze died. I blinked and he died. I mean, this Serpent's Fang might be some tech. We were talking about how bad it might be, but does end up peeling, doing a ton of damage. A's next on the chopping block doesn't quite have, yeah, he's just able to run away, and GP is just taking the base of Polymorphed. I mean, they have to be able to move towards that base despite so many members of Reef Tsunami holding them back, and I'm not sure that they can even recall.
Yeah, even though they catch Sivir, it's not really an advantage play. GP got so much gold the side lane, Udyr has to be careful. Not get caught out. He's trying to move towards the Zeri. But yeah, I saw that and I thought it was a lovely play from Procre. Been quite questionable in his things outside of mechanics, but he did something very mechanically well. He looked for the angle and he found it perfectly. But the problem is that you have this GP on side lane getting the gold, and you weren't able to take the Baron, as we see Reef on the Baron now.
I mean, the macro has just been in the pocket of Reef Tsunami. They've been playing so well around what Polymorphed want to do and just denying them every single thing that they can. This is the second Baron picked up for Reef Tsunami after denying them a Baron simply through having GP in that bottom lane. I mean, so well played from Captain and so well played from Reef Tsunami, and they're once again in the driver's seat. 9k gold ahead.
I think if we look at this from the point of view of Poly right now, I think there's some things you can be happy about. One thing is that we have 5 kills on the Karma and she's not going damage. So that goal is kind of wasted if we're being honest. Yes, you get a tiny bit more shielding, but the gold's kind of gone. It's not really going to be turned into damage, just a bit of health and shielding. But I'm more worried about this Sivir. She's getting a lot of gold. She looks like she's going to be building rapid fire. And if she's allowed to free hit and she's hitting her item spikes, she can melt the Malphite, get him down to 0 HP. And this tanky Malphite that we've been talking about might just get insta-killed.
I mean, we were talking about the tankiness of the Malphite. We were talking about that he just built armor into a full AD team comp, but I swear this Udyr is tankier. I don't understand how. The build is insane. Jackshow, Demonic, it's literally 2 items, and then Gargoyles is just kind of the cherry on top, but these 2 items is making him so tanky. He has a Mejai's as well. This Udyr is absolutely taking over, and we've seen it throughout the game. He just doesn't die, and he does so much damage. I mean, they didn't actually have to worry about AP damage like we were talking about because this Udyr is just doing so much.
Yeah, we'll see Reef putting on the siege. I think a big problem, as you were saying, this tankiness. I don't think it's so much to do with the tankiness. I think it's healing. We have only one anti-healing item on the side of Poly, and it's the Malphite. And if they don't hit the Malphite, you're not going to get the anti-healing procs. I think that really you probably should have had Milo or maybe Olaf get an anti-healing item because you have a Karma and Rakan. These 2 are going to shield and heal your allies incredibly fast.
Yeah, A is not taking any damage, or at least seemingly, with all of these shields and healing on top of his own base healing and shielding. And like you said, laying siege, GP pushing in that top wave, Baron not quite gonna get them a 3rd inhibitor turret, but it will secure them an Infernal Soul. And Reef Tsunami looking to just textbook close out this game, performing really well so far, and I mean, they remain in the driver's seat. I can't emphasize it enough. Reef Tsunami have played so well in the later stages of the game. 8k gold ahead, only 4 kills ahead, so all of that gold coming from objectives, coming from just taking over the macro in this game and just deciding what happens on the map.
Yeah, we could be watching a slow death now, but if I'm on the side of Poly, I need to take a breath and think about the situation that we're walking into right now. What you're going to be looking for is you're going to be looking, not directly for Sivir, you're going to be looking for Sivir Spell Shield. You instantly want to get rid of that as we see the ult in top side. They're trying to pressurize the Malphite. Oh, the ult away, but I think he's still going to get caught.
Aze hasn't even burned his ghost. Malphite just gets 1 popped by Kanze. Another kill for the ADC of Polymorphed, or of Reef Tsunami.
Yeah, but back what I was saying, you need to get this Sivir Spell Shield down and try and maybe look for the Malphite ult and Sivir and GP together. But if there's no Malphite, there's no threat of a Malphite ult. So we're going to see the siege come down. They're looking for the triple inhib, and I believe if triple inhib goes down, it's going to be not long till this game might end.
You were saying a slow bleed to the game. I feel like this has accelerated that bleed a little bit, maybe opened the wound into a gash, but Apto Fangirl does find a big engage, gets Captain and Raccoon extremely low. A's just able to tank the turret for free, so much shielding like we were talking about, and Captain once again taken extremely low, getting hit by that Zeri Zap, but not going to be amounting to too much. The third inhibitor turret does end up falling, and looks like Rift Tsunami just have to wait a little bit longer to be able to push for that next inhibitor.
Yeah, lovely poke from Fangirl, but no follow-up, sadly, having to defend the big waves coming in. They do protect the top inhib, stopping the triple inhibitor and the pressure of that on themselves, especially when we do have an Elder coming up. This Elder could decide it. On the side of Poly, it's going to be hard. They're going to have someone in base, I would say probably, maybe even the Syndra. I think Malphite is too important in the engage. Just have them protect base while the rest try and look for an Elder flip.
And I think we were talking about just the triple inhibitor threat being so huge that it's really hard for Polymorph to even play the game anymore. And I don't think we even touched on the fact that if it is a triple inhibitor, if triple inhibitor ends up going down, if two supers are coming out from each individual side of the base, of the side of Rift Tsunami, on top of a Baron, if they end up securing this Baron, it is literally unplayable for Polymorph. I mean, this Baron is honestly arguably more important than getting this Elder Dragon in 2 minutes after that.
Yeah, I think if we look at the successes and failures of this game, on the side of Reef, I definitely think it is their support jungle. They have both done so well, they've kited out fights perfectly, they've engaged on the correct targets, and they've itemized brilliantly. I think that's definitely the success on Reef. And even on the side of Poly, I definitely think this Malphite had an amazing lead in the top side. Multiple levels up, looking for top dives. So, at one point, nearly 60 CS up. He was doing so well. The problem is that we've kind of seen also faults on either team is on the side of Poly more so than on the side of Reef. We've got the jungle Olaf, it's not looking good, the itemization is not correct. And the bot side, the Zeri, she hasn't really been able to do anything. She's getting too pressurized and zoned by this Udyr and Rakan. She's not able to free hit. If your Zeri doesn't free hit, she can't get ult stacks and she can't win a fight.
I think another important factor for these two teams is the fact that Keptinen has just been in the side lane this entire game. Simply Magic on the Malphite, one of those champions that wants to teamfight, wants to 5v5, wants to find some crazy engage and just win the game that way. But when you're running around with your team as a death ball, when you're moving with your team and looking for an engage that your team can actually follow up on, then you have a GP in the other lane just permanently shoving in these waves, causing so much damage to the base of Polymorph. And as you can see here, GP pushing in towards that bottom inhibitor while his team is just fending off the side of Polymorph. And Malphite can't look for an engage when his entire team has to defend the base.
This Baron is going to get melted before Poly can get there. It will be gone. We're almost the Zeri W steal. The problem I'm having right now is, as we see Udyr kind of poke out, I'm getting a bit worried here. Is he going to be that tanky as we see him getting poked out?
I mean, you're saying Udyr's getting poked out, but I don't think his health bar dropped even a centimeter. I mean, this guy is just absolutely popping off, and A's, with all of the shielding, is now running into Polymorph. All five of them just runs into all five of them with the Rakan, moving into the backline after Fangirl falls. Mattia Maso is about to fall as well. Doesn't quite actually end up being taken down, but Udyr runs him down, burns the smite. Pistico next in the chopping block. Keptinen standing there with waiting arms, takes him down, and Sivir's there to follow up. Kanze, Rift Tsunami will take game 2. They will move on to the finals of the playoffs for CWL, and they have won this series. So well done from the side of Rift Tsunami. I can't praise them enough. Just macro play, superb. Keptinen always pressuring in those side lanes, always pressuring the inhibitor and pressuring the end of the game. I can't give him enough props. I feel like the MVP vote does end up going over to A's for me, just because he played so well in the jungle, 0 deaths, taking so much damage, mitigating so much damage, dealing so much damage. This player was absolutely insane. Udyr is such a strong champion, and in the hands of A's, it looks monstrous.
Well, I think with Captain, I think he knew he was getting destroyed in lane. It wasn't even close. But he knew that if he could just stick to the side lanes, trust his team to get the engages and win fights, if he could put these pressures on the side lane and push Nexus, then he would come out on top, especially with the large amount of gold he would have. When it comes more to the conversation of MVP, I think it's obvious for me. I think over the two, I think definitely in that game we just watched, I think A's is up for contention, but I think in the overall series, I have to give it to Akaspun. He has played exceptional. Lovely engages in both games. A fresh hook last game, on an Aatrox to properly save his backline in a fight. And in this game, oh my goodness, how many W's and engages did we see from that Rakan? How many flashes did he burn? It was incredible. It was lovely to watch.
Yeah, a Cosmoon on the Rakan, even in that last fight, like you said, finding the grand entrance onto 3 members of Polymorph's backline and just absolutely dismantling Polymorph. I mean, Polymorph is a strong team. Both of these teams are extremely strong, but Reef Tsunami absolutely showing up on the day, popping off in these games and showing us why they are moving on to the finals.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if we look more to the side of the Poly, I think, the first game was a bit closer. I think second game was just kind of a bit of a domination. You didn't have the advantage in the top side, but bot side was even. Maybe you were ahead, but the jungle gap this game was huge. The jungle gap was massive. I think, I don't know, maybe a bit of nerves, maybe a bit of just not working out on the day on the side of Poly. I think Fangirl, we were expecting more, and I don't think we lived up to that expectation. I think Porsy problems in the side of itemization, big problems I'd say, and also like kind of just his macro was just not the best. A Akali pick in the first game. So far in playoffs, I'm not too sure, but every game I've casted, Akali has been destroyed and decimated and hasn't really shown anything. So I'm not too sure that champ should have the priority it has.
And I mean, moving swiftly on from your Akali hatred, my boy, I do think it's important to note that, like you were saying, A is doing so well in this second game and just kind of making it very apparent that there was a jungle gap in that second game. It's even more important to note that he is the substitute jungler for the side of Reef Tsunami. He subbed in their last series as well, doing extremely well, performing out of his mind, and with a team that he's maybe not as comfortable with as Pokrivatch might be with the polymorphed side. I think it's really important to note that as a substitute jungler, he popped off this much. I mean, I can't give enough props to the guy.
Well, yeah, he was a bit quiet in the first game, but he just did his job, and as a jungler, that's all you need to do sometimes. Not go for these epic plays, pick something like Sejuani, and just look to facilitate your team members. But in the second game, the Udyr, like I said, I was a bit worried that they might go for the more AP route on Udyr, and have that AP damage being entirely reliant on Udyr. And to be honest, Udyr jungle isn't truly meta right now, so it needs to be piloted by someone who has comfort on the champion and skill, and as he had that, he did so well.
I think it's definitely also important to note that everyone, you can move over to the Discord. Logic did post in MVP votes that you can vote for your MVP right now, so don't just take our words for these MVP votes. Go vote yourself, make your voice heard, put your opinion out there, and we'll see who actually earns the MVP after you guys vote. But I definitely agree. A's popping off. A Cosmoon also popping off in the support role. I mean, Reef Tsunami just doing so well. A relative upset, as Polymorphed was technically more undefeated in the regular season, but I was super happy to be able to watch these games. So entertaining, and I'm stoked for the finals, and I'm stoked for this lower bracket finals as well. Polymorph moving on to face UWE, and UWE with a little bit of beef with Reef Tsunami. Going to be interesting to see if they can move on to the finals as well and reface Reef Tsunami in the finals, just like they wanted. I don't know. We'll have to see.
I don't know. If I'm looking at this from an outside perspective and an analyst approach right now to that other game we have upcoming, Poly against UWE, I have to say that I'm actually leaning more towards UWE winning that series now. The resurrection they've had in the lower bracket, the plays they've done, fighting one by one, improving on game by game, which we see in these lower bracket runs. Whilst with Poly, game did not give me belief that they can beat UWE, so they're going to have to go back to the drawing board, and they're going to have to write a masterpiece plan to come back into this playoff bracket.
And like you said, with lower bracket runs, teams just develop so much, they improve over time, and they become entirely different forms of themselves, entirely different beasts, as we've seen even in the upper bracket run. We've seen Reef Tsunami absolutely pop off, absolutely develop throughout their time in the upper bracket, and we'll have to see how it all plays out and how the games in the future play out as we see them. But we're going to go to a short break. We'll talk with the MVP from Reef Tsunami shortly after that, and then we'll be all done with the content for today, guys. Don't go anywhere.
Okay, I'm ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CWL Season 5 playoffs. We just finished the upper bracket finals where Reef Tsunami just took the win 2-0 over Polymorphed. We're joined by Super Saiyan A's, the MVP from the side of Reef Tsunami. And A's, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good. I'm not really surprised, but yeah, it's nothing casual. What is it? Thursday, Friday? Friday. Casual Friday.
Okay, yeah, casual Friday, just winning upper bracket finals, moving on to the finals of a random league, I guess, if you're in the life of A's. But you guys did so well today, man. What were the comms like when you guys finally win that second game?
Kinda. We're a little bit hyped. Not gonna lie. We're happy because we did not have the best performance going into the first game. We kind of forgot what we were gonna do, so our game one was a little rough, but we pulled it together, and then we just played our game.
Yeah, you guys definitely played your game, and you played it to a T. I thought it was really interesting that the side of Polymorphed focused so much on that Gangplank lane in the early game, especially when I feel like it wouldn't have been the problem later. So definitely interesting to get the Malphite ahead. What did you think about that?
The thing is that they didn't really have good lanes other than that, because Olaf has very bad ganking. And when you have melee or Seri, you can't really play for your bot lane that much, so you have to either make their Malphite roam or otherwise. And they could kind of play for the Syndra, but she has a really bad lane into Karma, so there's not much to play for. So there's only really the top lane left. And getting Gangplank behind is kind of okay, but in the end he's gonna be first strike. He's gonna queue the waves. Malphite can match him in the side lane in later stages anyway, and Malphite is needed for fights. So we just play the spread pressure. We have Seri ulti, we have Spell Shield, we have Shirelias. They can never really take a good fight with us. So yeah.
That's definitely what we witnessed. So, like you were talking about, just a really good game plan and really good just draft plan as well. Obviously, you said you can't comment too much on the draft, but have you been possibly preparing the Udyr for a couple of weeks now, or was this just a pocket pick that you play a lot?
I mean, it is my most played in solo queue by far. I think it's the strongest individual champion you can pick on B1 without considering anything. So it's insane champion, right? It's my pocket, my logo champion. But it's not something we practice at all, because we actually never expected them to let it go open.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I feel like Udyr is super strong. We saw it in this game. Doesn't take any damage, does tons, and all he has to build is Demonic and usually just Dark Seal, but apparently a Mejai's when you get a little bit confident. What was going through your head when you ended up walking in that Mejai's buy?
I didn't even think about it. I do it every game almost, so I was I see 9 stacks, I'm okay, I need 1 assist, and I'm juiced.
Yeah, you did really well. I was curious, your other contender for the MVP position on the side of Reef Tsunami in Akaspun, why do you think that he didn't end up joining us here today, or was he maybe nervous, and how do you feel about the player himself?
I mean, AK, amazing player, played a really good game as well, same as last time, right? Maybe it's a little bit nervous, maybe he just doesn't care that much about the interviews. Personally, I like hearing my own voice. I find myself to be the best, so might just be there.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely fair. I was just curious because obviously you guys both played really well, just doing so well to get your team into positions to win. And a question from Logic, apparently, does your back hurt?
No, definitely not. I have a strong back and my team played well.
All right, well, I think that's it for me for now. I'll toss over to Wolf, and then maybe I'll have a few more when he's done.
Yeah, so what's up, Ace? So just a couple quick questions and things. Going back to the first game, I think if we're being honest here, maybe it wasn't... The first game, we didn't see such a performance from you as we did in the second, but to be honest, you were on the Sejuani, more facilitating rather than carrying. Talking more on the bot side, we saw from Poly that they didn't really run any aggressive runes on their support. They were going heal on support both games and cleanse or ghost on their AD carry. As a jungler, do you prefer for your support to have more of an engaged kind of team fighting summoner, or do you want them to have something more sustained?
I think it kind of depends on what you're drafting, right? So for their sakes, I feel like it's kind of random to not have it, as you saw in the first game, right? We just outscaled them in team fights, and we kind of entered their game because we kind of took fights. But the fact that they didn't have Exhaust Ignite or something of the sorts means that they don't have the best reach on us, and therefore they can't push their lead that well compared to what they should be doing, right? So
Yeah.
it felt like they were not like they got ahead and then they couldn't like finish the game off it.
Yeah, we were talking about it basically. Just the lack of ignite and exhaust on the support just meant that yes, you were getting the advantage with Lucian, but you weren't really able to go for those proper 2v2s or like the 3v3s when the junglers came down. Going into the second game, I don't know if you saw the itemization of your opponent. It was definitely more on the unusual side. Serpent's Fang and a Lucidity Boots on Olaf. What do you think about that? Are you someone, when you play Olaf, are you more leaning more towards the steel caps in that example?
I didn't know we paid him to lose, but hey, good for him. No, I don't know. Like, I see the value in having these Serpent's Fang because we had Carmoodier, so even Rakan, right? But I don't know. I guess he just had to take one to the team, right? Like, first game in Sejani, I first item Thorn Melee because we just need to get the anti-heal, right? So I get it, but I don't know. It's like that's not why you're playing the champion. But I mean, the champion itself didn't make that much sense in that draft, so.
Yeah, true. Even from the draft perspective, we were kind of very confused because they'd picked Olaf before you'd picked top lane, and so we were kind of expecting a flex. But then you guys came out with the kind of the GP into Olaf, which is kind of from general kind of information is that the Olaf does normally, if the Olaf was top lane, he would have a big advantage into the GP. So we were kind of surprised that we didn't see it get flexed up to the top side. Why did you guys kind of feel the need to pick GP there? Because yes, we did see the AP Uda coming out of you, which was definitely played exceptionally, to be honest. But when with that kind of top lane pick, because the GP did fall too far behind in the early game, like he fell way too far behind than we really should have expected. Like, why was the GP picked?
I mean, the GP is like it's the JS3, right? So GP is bad into Olaf if you cannot play the GP well. So if you can play the GP well, it's actually winning. He did not see the best performance today, of course, but like it's something we're normally very comfortable on, but it's not something we practice, so it was a little rusty. But it's like the theory behind it.
Nice, good to hear. So, talking about the next game that we have after your victory here. So we have PLY facing UWE in the finals of the lower bracket. The winner obviously facing you guys in the finals. UWE have said that they would love some revenge on you guys for the past. They want to face you guys. And to be honest, kind of from an analyst kind of point of view, PLY's performance today wasn't that exceptional. But going to that game, do you think UWE, with the build-up they've had in the lower bracket, do you think they take that series? Or do you think today was just a bit unusual from the side of PLY and that they can bring it back?
I don't know. Both teams could effectively win. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched a single game of either. But I was hoping UWE would win, as there's a little bet going on. I heard in a cafe where someone promised to show some particular parts if they didn't win. So I'm hoping UWE wins.
Maybe. Oh goodness gracious! I think obviously you haven't been with this team permanently. You've subbed in yourself, or you've moved into this team recently. How has it felt? Because the players before had obviously played with each other for a bit longer than before you came in. How did it feel, kind of meshing in with this team? Did it feel natural? Was there a struggle at the start, but you guys started like connecting and started playing better? How did it feel moving into this team?
I mean, I think it felt very natural. Me and Kapteinen Anton we're very good friends. We talk almost daily. I talk a lot with the other guys as well. So we're friends already. The fact that I just play very similar to Bunny, just means it's like easier transitioning.
Nice, good to hear. Any other questions, Drake?
Yeah, I was just curious about a couple more things. Obviously, the macro play was on point, especially that last game. Like you said, you guys got a little bit more together, just figured out how you guys needed to play after that first game was a little bit iffy and a little bit back and forth. Moving into that second game, your guys' macro was just miles ahead of Polymorph. They were playing so far behind when it came to tempo and just macro decisions, and in part that's due to the GP being able to split push those side lanes out, and then you can just move towards objectives. Who was making those calls, and who was the macro brain for your team in that game?
It's a little bit of joint effort, but I would say it's like me and whoever's in the side lane, right? So Anton would call out the information he has, and then we like either me or like the team as a general would like say if he needs to stay or if he needs to push more or whatever's happening. As it was mostly GP in the side lane, it was kind of relying on him. But in general, we just the team knows we have to kite because they don't have good engage. The only thing they have is Malphite ulti, so they can never really engage. I just play to zone and they just play to DPS. After their initial burst is gone, we can literally just walk them down, cancel bases while the TP takes the whole base. So it's a bit of back and forth between us and the side laner.
Yeah, that makes sense, and you guys definitely demonstrated that that's exactly how it works. So well done to you and well done to your team. And just my last question was, you said you haven't watched any of the games between these two teams, but obviously you played Polymorph today, and UWE might end up playing you in the finals. It might be Polymorphed again. Do you think that you guys have what it takes with this roster to just win the league straight up? You have one more series to play.
Finals is best of 5, right?
I am not sure. Yes,
okay, quick 3-0.
Quick 3-0.
Oh.
I mean, I said it last time. I don't know any players on each team. They're randoms. I'm gonna stick to that, and I hope I can back it up next week.
I would love to see you back it up as well. That's it from me. Wolf, if you don't have anything more, we could go to shoutouts.
No, I think that's good. I've asked everything I need to.
All right, so Ace, I mean, congratulations, man. You did so well. Your team did so well. The entirety of Reef Tsunami did so well today. You guys definitely showed why you guys are going to the finals. You guys stomped in that second game, and like you said, a little bit iffy in the first game, but still stomp. So just so well played in this series. So well played from you, and so well played from all your teammates, man. Good job today. Do you have any shout-outs for anybody or for anyone?
Yeah, shout out the team, of course. Played really well today. Especially, also shout out to the coach. That, again, does a lot of work for us behind the scenes, so really big. And then, yeah, follow me on Twitter, Twitter/2eastface.
All right, cool. Thank you, man. And then, Wolf, you have any more shout-outs?
Obviously just my Twitter @dstreams. But no, basically that's that.
And I mean, I'll shout out myself as well. You can see my Twitter on the screen right now. So if you want to go check us out, that's where you can look. And I mean, I've had such a great time here in the CWL. I've had such a great time spectating these games. So entertaining. And I hope that everybody's been entertained as well. So happy that everybody was here and able to make it. I think that's it from us. So we'll see you guys in the next stage of either the Division 1 or Division 2 playoffs. And thank you all for joining. We'll see you guys next time.